Can't believe I didn't realise I was muted. What an absolute idiot. But now I'm no longer muted. As I was talking, I'm just going to talk you through some of the trades that have already happened. Thanks for letting us know, Rowan and Josh and Kieran. I also got a text from him as well. So they were well prepared letting me know. But it's absolutely red hot in my house. I'm absolutely sweating. I'm just going to share my screen. I'll talk you through some of the trades that have already happened. There's already been a few that have already happened. The first one happened late last night. As I said, it was DeLon Wright got traded to the Sacramento Kings for Corey Joseph and 2 second-round draft picks, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, probably the most reliable source in basketball. So again, the Pistons, a rebuilding team, they picked up 2 extra second-round picks, and they kind of traded point guards really with the Kings in Corey Joseph and DeLon Wright. So it wasn't a massive trade, but again, the two teams were making moves. The Denver Nuggets, they acquired JaVale McGee about an hour and a half ago from the Cleveland Cavaliers. In return, they gave up Isaiah Hartenstein and 2 second-round picks. So again, they had another big one to the rotation. They've already got Nikola Jokic, who's arguably the best centre in the NBA. Me being a Clippers fan, I obviously saw it firsthand that he absolutely destroyed us in the interior. So the Nuggets had yet another big man. I think the Lakers were also interested in McGee, but again, the Nuggets had him for a couple of second-round picks and a rotation point guard. The big trade of the day, though, so far, which I put on the screen as the main breaking news, really, the Bulls, they acquired all-star centre Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic is pretty much a guaranteed double-double. As I said, he made the all-star team. And the Bulls were coming into this day, they wanted to get, a marquee all-star player, and that's exactly what they've got. They've got Nicola Goosevich as their new starting centre. However, the price that they paid wasn't cheap. I believe they gave up, well, it says here, they gave up Otto Porter Jr., who's a good small forward. You can average maybe 12 to 14 points a game. They also gave up Wendell Carter Jr., who was a high first-round pick a few years ago. He can play centre and power forward. And also 2 first-round picks, I believe, in this year, in 2021 and also 2023. I think the picks are in. And also one of those is protected. So a massive haul given up for Nikola Vucevic by the Chicago Bulls. But they get that star man that they wanted. The Bulls obviously competing for the playoffs in the playing tournament spot, so they need to get somebody in if they were going to push on, maybe eventually make the playoffs. They give up quite a bit, a few picks and 2 rotational players, but they get that star man to build around Zach LaVine, who also made the All-Star team. And it also says here that the New Orleans Pelicans guy, Lonzo Ball, is not out of reach for the Bulls. They've been rumoured to want him for quite a while now, and again, they can still go for him with Aaron Gordon looking like he's going to stay on the Orlando Magic now, because the Orlando Magic also traded another player not so long ago, and it was the Boston Celtics traded away Evan Fournier, shooting guard. Evan Fournier, one of those players who, again, he's a bucket, really. I think he averages about 4 assists. I think averaging about 20 points so far on the Orlando Magic. So he can shoot a 3. And the Boston Celtics, they needed some depth. They needed to help Tatum out. They needed to help Jaylen Brown if they were going to make noise in the playoffs. And all they had to give up was 2 second-round picks, which I think is an absolute steal at this point. Giving up 2 second-round picks for a good scorer. They can come off the bench, be the 6th man, and also start with Marcus Smart. So the Celtics had a big-time player there in Evan Fournier. Brilliant trade for them. But in terms of rumours, those are all the completed deals so far. There is a lot of rumours going around on Twitter. As I mentioned, the Lonzo Ball trade he's not dead in the water yet. Chicago apparently aren't done yet. This is according to KCJ Hoop, and he said that they're still interested in Lonzo Ball and fielding calls on Lauri Markkanen. So we could see Lauri Markkanen for Lonzo Ball trade. There's also apparently the 76ers also interested in Lonzo Ball. The Clippers also interested, but the Clippers they don't have a lot of assets. They can't trade any first-round picks. So I would be very surprised if the Clippers did land Lonzo Ball, but you never know on NBA trade line. A lot of crazy things can happen. As I mentioned, Aaron Gordon, it's looking like he's going to be staying with the Orlando Magic at this point. They've already traded away Fournier, they've traded away Vucevic, and although Aaron Gordon did request a trade, he's probably going to be staying. As you can see, they're reported by Hoop Central that the Blazers have fallen out the sweepstakes for Gordon. It's looking like he's going to be staying on the Magic for another season. I believe he's a free agent this year or next year, so he can join a new team if he wants to, but we shall see where Aaron Gordon ends up. And in terms of other rumours, obviously the Kyle Lowry rumours going around that a lot of teams are interested in him. The Raptors can basically ask for anything they want, because Kyle Lowry is still one of those players. He proved he could win a championship with Kawhi Leonard a few years ago. He's still a very good leader at the point guard position. He's experienced, and I believe he's a free agent this season. So whoever trades for him will be getting him on an expiring deal. I'll just have a look at the latest news on Kyle Lowry. The last time I checked, it was the Lakers, it was the 76ers, and it was the Heat, all interested in Kyle Lowry. Add him to be the new starting point guard, as you can see there. Shams Karani, who's a very, very reliable source has said that the teams that are seriously engaged with the trade for Kyle Lowry, and those teams are the Lakers, Sixers, and Heat, as I mentioned. Out of those three teams, I'd probably say the Heat are the most likely, mainly due to the fact they've got the most, capital. They can probably send the most picks to the Raptors. They can add a better selection of players, and I think Duncan Robinson would be, one of the main players in that trade. I know the Raptors wanted Tyler Hero. I can't see the Heat giving up Tyler Hero. He was too good for them in the playoffs last season. He's still got a lot of potential. But if the Raptors landed Tyler Hero for Kyle Lowry, who's probably on his way out anyway at the end of the season, it would be a phenomenal trade for them. But the Heat are the team I'm looking at. The Lakers, possibly, they could offer a package, but they'd have to give up so many depth players. Would it really be worth it? The Lakers obviously have LeBron James out injured at the moment. Anthony Davis is still out injured, so they are in need of some firepower because, falling down the pecking order in the standings in the West is very, very real. It could definitely happen. But in terms of rumours, it's mostly rumours at the minute. I've talked you through all the deals that have already happened. But there are a lot of rumours. I just saw another rumour there. This is from Legion Hoops. The Clippers and the Atlanta Hawks are having trade talks surrounding Rajon Rondo. That's according to Brian Windhorst of ESPN, who's an insider. And the Clippers were obviously linked with Rajon Rondo back in the offseason. They wanted to sign him to maybe a 1-year deal. Obviously, coming off that championship win with the Los Angeles Lakers, he was wanted by a lot of teams, Rajon Rondo. He was wanted by a lot of teams. Ended up signing with the Hawks on a 2-year deal, I think, to be the backup to Trae Young and, to sort of like mentor Trae Young. But the Clippers, who wanted to sign him in the offseason last year, are now in trade talks with the Hawks over getting Rajon Rondo. I'd be interested to see what the conversation would be. Maybe a couple second-round picks and maybe a role player. But as of right now, it's all just rumours. There's nothing bona fide going to happen there with Rajon Rondo. It's the first I've seen of it anyway. I didn't see anything on him. For the first few hours, I'm just getting a lot of updates right now about Micah Parsons' pro day, and apparently he's absolutely smashing it. As you can see there, he run a 4.35. So if you're interested in NFL, make sure you keep up to date with the pro days because the draft is not far away. We will be covering that on the channel. Spencer Dinwiddie just put out a tweet. He's put 3 hours with a sort of like tired emoji. I think he's one of those players that's been in trade talks and doesn't really know where his future holds. I believe he's a free agent again this year. So again, he could definitely get traded, but at this point, what team is going to trade for Spencer Dinwiddie? He's been linked with so many different teams. You just wonder where will he even end up. But I'll just go through some of the different stuff that has been rumoured. So obviously, I talked about Lonzo Ball, former number 2 overall pick in the 2017 NFL draft. The Pelicans are willing to trade him, from what I've heard. They are shopping him about. I just wonder, how much would they want for him? Would they want a few first-round picks here and there? Would they want, maybe a good young player? But the Pelicans have got all the leverage they want in that trade. They can ask for anything they want, basically, from other teams. If teams are desperate, they could get a haul from the 76ers, for example, or a team that comes to mind. If they want somebody like Lonzo Ball, they might have to go quite a bit for him. So again, I personally can't see Lonzo Ball getting traded now, but you never know in the NBA. Like I said, crazy stuff happens. I thought the Bulls were a landing spot for him, and they went and got Vucevic. However, Adrian Wojnarowski did report that Lonzo Ball could still be traded to Chicago, and if they manage to get Vucevic and Lonzo Ball in one day, then the Bulls are obviously automatically a much better team than they were yesterday. As again, they're looking to get into the playoffs for the first time in a very, very long time, looking to get relevant for the first time in a very, very long time. But there also are some names, not just Lonzo Ball, on the buyout market. There's a lot of players that could be released. If they don't get traded before the deadline, there could be a lot of players that do end up getting released and just become free agents, and teams can pick them up as free agents and sign them for basically nothing, really. And one of those names is Andre Drummond. Obviously, he was an all-star, I believe, with the Pistons. But he has been linked heavily with the Los Angeles Lakers. If he gets bought out, according to Windhorst, Andre Drummond is most likely he's going to get bought out. I think if he does get bought out, it's looking like the Lakers are going to be big contenders. Bleacher Report reported last night, according to Kevin O'Connor, he said that the Knicks have emerged as a serious destination for trade for Andre Drummond. So if they did it, if the Pistons could, if the Cavs could get something for Andre Drummond, if they could, pick up some picks for him, maybe, it would be a pretty nice haul for him, I guess, because at this rate, I think they're going to lose him for nothing. The Lakers, again, as I mentioned, they're most likely going to be the main contender to to get Andre Drummond. This was reported a few days ago that apparently Andre Drummond is in Los Angeles right now. It was a couple of days ago, not from a reliable source, so I can't really see that happening. But again, he's definitely one of those players that I wouldn't be surprised if he's bought out, because Drummond, he's one of those players. He's a good rebounder. He's a good shot blocker, good in the paint. And if you wanted to beat teams like the Nuggets in the West, you definitely need a big man in the middle of the paint. I mean, the Clippers come to mind for me. I mean, when watching last season, Harrell struggled a lot. He couldn't handle Jokic, so the Clippers went out and got Serge Ibaka, which was a positive addition in my opinion. But yeah, like I said, those are about the rumors that we've gone through so far. Not much else happened. I'll talk for the Oladipo, Victor Oladipo. We got traded to the Rockets from the Pacers in a big deal earlier on. It was part of the James Harden trade to the Nets. Yeah, he's one of those players, Oladipo, that again, when he's healthy, he's a very good player. But when he's not, he's one of those players that he's a good shooter, he's a good facilitator, he's a good leader, he's good on defense, but he's not healthy enough for my liking for a contending team to trade for him. And I know the Rockets are there pretty much in rebuild mode. They're looking to tank, get as many picks as they can. But again, what is a team willing to go up for Mitchell Oladipo at this point? I just don't really know what they're willing to give up for him. But as I say, I'm just looking through some more rumours, and I'll have a look on the Twitter. But as of right now, I've talked for all the main rumours that have happened, all the main moves that have happened. I'm just waiting for a Woj bomb to happen. That's all. I mean, this is the man really that's been in all the speculation. Kyle Lowry, as I mentioned, could he be traded? Could he be released? Obviously, the deadline is 3 p.m. Eastern time. The UK time, I believe, it's 8 p.m. So there's still about 3.5 hours to go. 3 hours 45 minutes to go until the trade deadline actually comes to an end. But like I said, with players getting bought out and players getting released, you'll see a lot of people, a lot of teams looking to pick up the players that have eventually been released. Got a report here from the Hoop Central from Kyle Neubeck. He said the Sixers do not see themselves as current leader in trade decisions for Kyle Lowry. Now, I mentioned, I believe, the Heat. I thought the Heat were the main contenders to pick up Kyle Lowry, whether that's as a trade, as a buyout. I can't see them buying out Kyle Lowry. There's no point, because I think you could get something for Kyle Lowry. Like, that's why I said the Heat. Duncan Robinson could maybe be that main man who gets traded. Got some comments coming in here from Lovely KMG. Who do you think the Lakers will get? I mentioned Andre Drummond as a possible buyout. He could definitely be acquired by the Lakers. But in terms of Lakers, they're apparently the hard cap. So if they're going to trade for somebody, they need to match the salaries. They need to match them up one for one. They can't have if they want to acquire Kyle Lowry, they can't go up 25 million in competition. They need to go up 30 for 30. If that makes sense. So they'd have to go up 3 or 4 role players if they want to acquire Kyle Lowry. So I can't personally see that happening for the Lakers. But Drummond, if he gets bought out by the Cavs, apparently the Lakers are his first choice, and it is a big need for the Lakers. Let's be honest. Since they lost JaVale McGee, since they lost Dwight Howard, and even that big interior force in the paint. And like I said, if Drummond gets bought out, I think that's most likely who the Lakers can look to pick up. Lovely Kim J has also commented, I'm over Drummond in the back market and Lowry, but Lowry most likely to go to 76ers. Yeah, I agree. I think Drummond in the back market is the Lakers' main target to pick up as a free agent. But in terms of Lowry, you said the 76ers. I believe it's the Heat that are most likely going to pick up Kyle Lowry, because as I've just seen on Twitter here, as I updated it pretty shortly ago, not too long ago. What's it gone? There it is. The Sixers do not see themselves as the current leaders in the trade discussion for Kyle Lowry. So is it possible the Heat? Is it maybe the Lakers? If the Lakers can acquire Kyle Lowry, then fair play, because that is an unbelievable trade for them. I just personally can't see it. I can't see them matching the salaries. I can't see them giving them as much compensation as the Heat can. So yeah, Kyle Lowry, I think he'll end up on the Heat. But Drummond, if you ask me right now where Drummond would go, I think I would probably say he's going to the Lakers. That's the most likely destination in my opinion. Stanley Young's commented, so far he's been traded already. I've just talked through who's been traded. A lot of players have been traded so far. As mentioned, the first trade was Delon Wright. He got traded to the Kings from the Pistons in return for Corey Joseph and 2 second-round picks. That was late last night, quite a smaller trade. And the smallest trade earlier on was the Nuggets. They acquired JaVale McGee from the Cavs in return for Isaiah Hartenstein and 2 second-round picks in 2023 and 2027. So, the Nuggets, they already have Nikola Jokic, who in my opinion is the best center in the NBA. If you look at the stats that he's putting up, he's an MVP candidate. He's playing absolutely phenomenal right now for the Nuggets. And they had another big man to the paint, and JaVale McGee. He was on the Lakers last year. He was part of that championship winning team. And I've got to be honest, when the Lakers got rid of JaVale McGee, I was pretty surprised because he was one of those players that you could play him at the 5, at the 4. It was a big body to rebound, but he was also very athletic, so he was also very good on defense. And the fact that the Nuggets have now acquired McGee and they've still got Jokic, that is a big front court to have now. The Magic, they've been very, very active today, but the biggest trade of the day, without a doubt, is obviously Nicola Goosevich going to the Chicago Bulls in a massive trade where they gave up Otto Porter Jr., Wendell Carter Jr., and 2 first-round picks, I believe, in 2021 and 2023, with one of them being protected. So a massive haul there for the Bulls. But they wanted to, the Bulls came into this day, they wanted to get that star player, that all-star caliber player. They are fighting for the playoffs. I believe they're 7th or 8th in the Eastern Conference. So, they are looking to acquire that star player, and they've just acquired him in Nicola Goosevich, which was about an hour and a half ago now. And it also says here they're still interested in Lonzo Ball. So if you're a Bulls fan, you could end up with Lonzo Ball and Nicola Goosevich for the day is done, which would be an incredible trade deadline for you guys, because I know you're obviously competing for the playoffs, like I mentioned. And then the latest big move really is the Boston Celtics. They also acquired Evan Fournier, another player from the Magic. The Magic fire sale just continues. I mentioned Aaron Gordon is also the Magic. He requested a trade, but with the way things are going, I can't see Aaron Gordon getting traded. However, I've literally just said I can't see Aaron Gordon getting traded. I've just checked my phone, and I believe there's an update on the Aaron Gordon trade. And there it is from Shams 47 seconds ago. The Orlando Magic are progressing on a trade to send Aaron Gordon to the Denver Nuggets. So once again, the Denver Nuggets, they've already had JaVale McGee today. They're now looking to add Aaron Gordon, who had a trade request in yesterday. He wanted to leave the franchise. He could now be going to the Denver Nuggets and waiting on the compensation to come through, what that could be. But Shams, again, as I mentioned, a very, very reliable source, said that the Orlando Magic are looking to get Aaron Gordon. They're looking to send him to the Denver Nuggets. So, the Denver Nuggets, they are no joke in the Western Conference. If they can acquire Aaron Gordon, that would be an absolutely huge coup for them. Another front court player, absolutely mental. Hoop Central reporting the same thing. The Magic are working on the trade for Aaron Gordon. I mean, if they end it with Aaron Gordon, fair play to the Denver Nuggets. Fair play to them indeed. But yeah, in terms of that's who's been traded so far. I've kind of put it on the ticker at the bottom who's been traded so far. I've put up obviously Nicola Goosevich. I put that back up. The Nicola Goosevich was the main trade today by the Chicago Bulls acquiring him from the Orlando Magic. But there's been a lot of deals being processed throughout the day. I think the closer we'll get to the deadline, that's when we'll see more trades happening. I mean, the Clippers fans put here the Clippers will be worse off with Rondo. I mean, it depends what you're giving up for him, because the Clippers do need a point guard. There's no point sugarcoating. They need a point guard desperately. Got another tweet. I think that's from Ian Rappaport from the NFL, but obviously I've still got my notification turned on from when it was NFL free agency. But yeah, Aaron Gordon, as I mentioned, he's looking like he's going to go to the Nuggets. I'll update you on that when we get more details on the conversation involved. But yeah, in terms of Rondo to the Clippers need a point guard. Whether that's George Hill, Lonzo Ball, Rondo, they need to get somebody in, because we've seen that the one thing the Clippers lack is facility. They struggle against their offense late in game. They rely on Kawhi Leonard and Paul George for the playmakers, when in reality those guys should be in the better spots to receive the ball and drive to the basket or put up a shot. So the Clippers do need a point guard, and depending on what we would have to give up for Rondo, whether that's a few second round picks, a role player, I think the Clippers should definitely look into it, because Rondo's one of those players that in the regular season you don't see much of him, and he's pretty injury prone. Come playoff time, as we saw last season with the Lakers in the finals, he was very, very good, and I was pretty gutted when the Hawks actually picked him up instead of the Clippers, because I thought he's that one player that is experienced, knows how to run any offense. I thought it would have been a phenomenal trade for the phenomenal pickup for the LA Clippers. But I'm also just trying to keep up to date on the news. I think we've got an update here from Shams again, who mentioned that Aaron Gordon could be traded to the Denver Nuggets. And it says here that Denver is close to acquiring Aaron Gordon. So said Gordon, who's 25 years old, has been seriously pursued by several teams, including Minnesota, Houston, and Boston. So, I mean, I said Aaron Gordon, I couldn't see him getting traded. It turns out he's been wanted by quite a few teams now, actually. Still 25 years of age, as I mentioned. I'm not sure when his contract runs out, but it's looking like Denver. He's on the verge of acquiring him. I'm not sure what for yet, whether that's some first round picks, second round picks. We'll soon find out what happens with Aaron Gordon. But as we continue to talk about the trades that could happen, let me talk about what else is coming up on the channel, on the Sports King YouTube channel. We've also got a website. I'll talk you through that. Make sure you give us a follow on Twitter. Obviously, it's just Sports Corner at _top corner. We put a lot of sporting content. We've got football, wrestling. I mean, this is an NBA. This is the first NBA video I've done. That we do NFL as well. There's a lot of content. Darts. Josh likes doing his darts. There's a lot of content going out on the channel. We've also got a website, thesports-corner.com, where we put our daily pieces on many different sports. I mean, this week we're not being as active, but we still definitely put the posts out. So make sure you go check the website out. There's a lot of good stuff on there. And also Instagram, _sportscorner_, which is pretty similar to Twitter. It keeps up on the latest streams and videos that could be going up on the channel. So make sure I do give those a follow. But in terms of the content that's coming up, as of right now, we're doing the NBA trade deadline live stream. But tonight is the FIFA 21 UCL Sim tournament. I mean, Josh has been planning this for about a month or so now. We made a list of 32 players who wanted to take part in the sim. Basically, what it is, the 32 players that have chosen to take part, they will each be assigned a team tonight in tonight's draw, which is 7 p.m. So I'm going to be streaming tonight until about 6:45 maybe. Obviously, the trade deadline isn't close till 8 o'clock in the UK, but I'm going to stop in about 7 p.m. because we have another stream tonight. It's the FIFA 21 UCL Sim tournament, where, as I mentioned, you've got 32 teams. Everyone who's taking part will be assigned a team in the draw. Basically, you spin the wheel of names. If it lands in your name, then you've been picked, and then obviously you'll be given a team. And whatever team you're given is what team you're managing the tournament. You don't need FIFA, obviously. You don't need to play the game. It's free to enter. You basically just manage your team. You can make in-game subs. You can tell Josh if you want a sub making or what formation you want to play. And it's basically just sim game. It's the computer versus the computer. It's a bit of fun. It's a bit of luck, really, because I got Israel. We did a Euro tournament last year. I got Israel, and they ended up finishing in third place. Who would have thought Israel would have finished in third place? So no matter what team you get, it is a sim at the end of the day. It's completely random. You could get the worst team in the tournament, and you could take them to the final. You just never know on these sim tournaments. But there are also cash prizes for first, second, and third. So if you're involved in the tournament, make sure you keep it up to date tonight. 7 p.m. You'll find out what team you're going to be given. And I think it's going to be streamed from Friday this week to Monday. So it's going to be over the weekend. Obviously, it's the international break. There's no football on. So this kind of makes up for it, the UCL Sim tournament. So even if you aren't competing in it, make sure you check it out, watch the video, because I think we're going to be doing the Europa League one, shortly after that, because I know there were a few players that wanted to play it that couldn't, wasn't able to get a place in the tournament. So I'm just refreshing my Twitter now. 2 minutes. To close my door real quick, but we've had an update from Adrian Wojnarowski. As I mentioned, Shams was first on this, but when Adrian Wojnarowski is usually 99.9% going to happen, and Orlando is closing in on the trade, send Aaron Gordon to Denver. So I'm just waiting on the compensation of what that could be. We just had a tweet here from Bradley Beal about 13 minutes ago. He's put, "Here we go." Whether it's a cryptic tweet about possibly being traded, I'm not too sure on that. But Bradley Beal is another name that's been mentioned in trade talks, and the Wizards again. The Wizards have been bad for a while now. They acquired Westbrook in the off season. It just not really worked for them. But if Bradley Beal got traded, that's the one I did not see happening. Obviously his names were mentioned, but you sometimes think, what can a team really offer for Beal? Beal is he's an All NBA performer. He's averaging around 30 points this season. He's a fantastic player. So if you would think if a team's going to acquire Bradley Beal, they would have to give it quite a fair bit of assets for him. Another update from Woj is that Orlando and Denver finalised the particulars of the deal now, but the Nuggets are on the brink of acquiring Gordon. So basically, it's pretty much going to happen. It is pretty much going to happen. We're just waiting for the final, crossing the T's and dotting the I's, if you like. We have got a trade though going through, and it's actually the Washington Wizards. As I mentioned, Bradley Beal could possibly be a trade candidate. However, they are trading Troy Brown and Mo Wagner to Chicago for Daniel Gafford and Chandler Hutchison. So again, the Bulls active once again. They've already acquired Nicola Goosevich. They possibly could get Lonzo Ball as well, but now they're trading for Troy Brown and Mo Wagner in exchange for Gafford and Hutchison. I believe Troy Brown and Hutchison were in the same draft class. They were both first-round picks, and Mo Wagner was a big man who was picked by the Lakers in that same draft. Gafford is also a centre, so it's pretty much a swap of small forwards and centres there. Nothing huge, but again, both teams making moves on the trade deadline. Again, Washington is, with the Wizards, like I mentioned, they're looking to acquire picks now. They're looking to get those high picks that they can get in next year's draft. And there's no point in them trying to acquire somebody because they can't really contend for anything. As far as I'm aware, they're not close to getting in the playing spots. And even if they did, what's their ceiling? How far can they really go? But yeah, not a nice trade there for the Bulls. They had some more rotational players there, giving up Gafford and Hutchinson. And obviously, it's been reported there by Legion Hoops, pretty much confirmed that that trade has gone down. Gafford and Hutchinson to the Bulls for Troy Brown and Mo Wagner. We've also had another update 19 seconds ago. Will Barton is getting rerouted to a third team in the Aaron Gordon deal. So, Will Barton, a pretty good shooting guard for the Denver Nuggets. Apparently, he's going to end up on a third team. So we're going to have a third team involved in this Aaron Gordon trade. It's not just going to be the Nuggets and the Magic. We're going to have the Nuggets, the Magic, and another team. So according to Harrison Wind, a third team is involved in the deal, and they will be getting Will Barton in the Aaron Gordon trade. And as you can see, Shams there, confirmed. He first reported it about 5 minutes ago. It's now officially done deal. Aaron Gordon to the Denver Nuggets. So a big coup there for the Denver Nuggets. They acquire the power forward / small forward from the Orlando Magic. Just adding more depth to a team that is definitely going to make noise in the playoffs. Like I said, they've still got Nikola Jokic, the best center in the NBA. They acquired the big man JaVale McGee from the Cavs earlier on today. Now they've got Aaron Gordon. So, like I said, they are making moves today. They really are making moves. Adrian Wojnarowski's now put that Gary Harris is on his way to Orlando in the trade. So he's put Denver and Orlando have agreed on the Aaron Gordon deal. Among the players on the way to Orlando is Gary Harris. So again, Gary Harris, the shooting guard, is on his way to Orlando. We think that Will Barton is on his way to a third team that is involved in the Aaron Gordon trade. Again, this seems like a pretty big trade. They're still waiting for all the details to come out on that, who that third team is. But yeah, Aaron Gordon has been traded to the Denver Nuggets. Looks like Harris and Will Barton are on the way out of Denver. Keep getting your comments in if you are watching. We've just got the conversation through. I'll just get this up on the screen right quick. Denver are trading for Aaron Gordon. So if you're a Denver Nuggets fan and you're in the comments, let me know what you think about that. Because Aaron Gordon, he put in a trade request yesterday. He definitely wanted to be traded. And it's a big coup for Denver. It really is a big coup for a team that's looking to compete for a top seed in the West. But we've just got some more news coming through. I believe it's the compensation. Where is it? Is it Word reporting it? I swear I saw something that updated the what compensation was going to go back to the Magic and the third team. Let's have a look. See if Woj put anything else. Yeah, 1 minute ago. Gary Harris, RJ Hampton, who is a rookie from this year, and a first round pick to Orlando Magic for Aaron Gordon. So, the Magic get a pretty nice haul there. Player that didn't want to be there in Aaron Gordon. They get a nice shooting guard to add to their rotation. Gary Harris. They get a rookie point guard in RJ Hampton. They obviously already have Markelle Fultz. He did suffer that bad injury. So RJ Hampton probably could start for that Magic team, which is pretty good of him. And they get another pick to add to their collection. They've already acquired 2 today from the Bulls. They acquired 2 second-round picks from the Celtics for Fournier, and now they've acquired another one for Aaron Gordon. So the Magic, absolute fire sale on the trade deadline day. They've got rid of everybody, but they have acquired the picks as they look to rebuild officially, which is good because, if you're a Magic fan, you'd much rather trade for picks and build for the future rather than just be an average team that just kind of fights for the 8th seed, has a few good players here and there, but in the end, they're not really moving anywhere. So, in my opinion, this is a good trade for the Magic. They get rid of a player they don't want, but the Nuggets also get a very good player in Aaron Gordon. He's a very athletic player. As far as I'm aware, he's not a bad shooter. In fact, we'll get the Aaron Gordon stats up on ESPN right now to see what he's doing this season. But again, it's without doubt a positive addition for the Nuggets in Aaron Gordon. Just going to get his stats. So as you can see, this season he's averaging around 15 points per game, 7 rebounds and 4 assists. You could say they're inflated due to the fact that he's playing for quite a weak Magic side. But again, he's shooting 37.5% from 3, 44% from the field. So he can definitely space the floor. He's not just a dunker like I know in his early years. He's more just like more of a dunker. Really was Aaron Gordon. Wasn't a phenomenal player. obviously got absolutely robbed in that dunk contest when he went up against Zach LaVine. But yeah, again, he's shown that he can shoot the ball effectively from three, averaging around 15 points per game, and he's going to be an instant impact player for the Denver Nuggets as they look to push on to get into the top 3 seeds in the West. Obviously, with the Lakers getting injuries, with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, the Clippers looking inconsistent, and the Suns, although they have had a phenomenal start to the season, could we possibly see them hit a wall eventually? Because the Nuggets, they are definitely coming for those top 3 seeds, and they're definitely a player in the Western Conference looking to make the NBA Finals. They got to the Western Conference Finals last season. Eventually, we got beat by the champions Lakers, but they did very, very well to get there in the first place. Woj just said this 14 seconds ago that the first round pick that Denver is trading is a 2025 first round pick. So again, it's the Magic have acquired another first round pick there, but it's in 2025. It's about 4 years away, and it's protected. So in reality, Denver's not giving up much in this trade to get Aaron Gordon. Gary Harris is not a bad player. RJ Hampton's a pretty good rookie. It depends which way you look at it. If RJ Hampton's probably the best bet for the future, but if you wanted to win now, you're getting Aaron Gordon, who's an experienced player, versatile player. Maybe the Magic in a few years' time, if they want to trade for a bigger player, they can use that as a potential trading piece, because a 2025 first round pick that is protected, it's possibly not going to turn into anything big. But those are the full trade details so far. The Nuggets have acquired Aaron Gordon, as I mentioned. They're going at Gary Harris, RJ Hampton, and a first round pick that is a 2025 protected first round pick. So in reality, the Nuggets have not given up much there. Obviously they've lost Harris, but they've got another athletic wing to pair with possibly Will Barton, unless he's also been traded. We mentioned that Will Barton could have been traded to a third team in the deal. But yeah, Aaron Gordon finally gets traded. And literally, just as I said, Aaron Gordon won't get traded. He gets shipped off to the Denver Nuggets. Fair play to the Nuggets. They've had another big-time player there in Aaron Gordon. We've got a comment in from Chris Welch. Hi, mate. Hope you're well. I'm doing fantastic, mate. I hope you are doing great as well. Obviously, you are taking part in the UCL Sim tonight, so we'll see what team you can get. Make sure you join us at 7, Chris. Obviously, the cash prizes are included, so it's going to be over the course of the weekend. See what team you get tonight, and you can manage that team. And obviously, I know you were in the Euro Sim last season. I think you got Spain. You did also lose to Israel, unfortunately for you. But yeah, join us tonight at 7 p.m, Chris, and find out what team you've got. If you're interested in basketball and you don't mind sticking around, then feel free to do that. But yeah, so far the trade deadline has been pretty active, and we've still got about 3.5 hours to go until the trade deadline officially shuts. So we've still got plenty of time left. My Twitter's just refreshing there. And yeah, we're just getting some opinions on the Aaron Gordon trade. Justin Russo's put Aaron Gordon immediately becomes Denver's best defender, right? Well, like I said, he's an athletic wing, is Aaron Gordon, that can shoot a 3. So if you're athletic and you can shoot a 3, then you have definitely got a place in the NBA. And it's a positive addition for the Denver Nuggets. They're looking to compete in the Western Conference this season, and they need as many players like Aaron Gordon as they possibly get. A report by Clippers Nation. This is from ClutchPoints.com. The Clippers are making a late push for Rajon Rondo, as I mentioned. The Clippers tried to sign Rondo in the offseason back in November. They weren't able to acquire him, unfortunately. He went to the Hawks on a 2-year deal, but they are now apparently making a late push to trade for him. Which, again, I wouldn't mind Rajon Rondo because we do need a point guard. It just depends what we're giving up for him. Terrence Mann is a player that I wouldn't want to trade with from the Clippers because he's one of those players that still pretty young, still got a very high ceiling. And I think they could definitely be used in the future. So as long as we don't give up Terrence Mann, I'm happy with acquiring Rajon Rondo. Hoop Central have just put a post out saying that the Magic teams now is, as you can see, Jonathan Isaac, Markelle Fultz, Wendell Carter Jr., Cole Anthony, RJ Hampton, Mo Bamba, Chuma Okeke, and multiple first-round, second-round picks, youth movement in Orlando. And yeah, it's, as I mentioned, it's pretty much what the Magic needed to do. They were going nowhere. In fact, I'll get the NBA standings right up right now, so you can see whereabouts the Magic are in the Eastern Conference. Sorry. Yeah, it's something in my opinion the Magic needed to do because, as you can see here in the East, they're currently 14th, which is awful. They're pretty far away from the playing positions. They're definitely not going to get there now after the trades, in my opinion. The only team worse off is the Pistons, who have also been trying to make moves, but the Magic are going nowhere, and the fact that they've managed to acquire 3 first-round picks, a couple second-round picks in the trades they've done today. They've also managed to get Wendell Carter Jr., who's a pretty good young centre/power forward. They've got RJ Hampton, who is a point guard that was picked in the first round this year. Markelle Fultz is injured, unfortunately, but he's still got a lot a lot of potential left in the league. Jonathan Isaac's one of the better young players in the league at small forward. So the Orlando Magic are doing the right thing, in my opinion. They're getting the young players in. They're building for the future. They're acquiring the picks instead of keeping hold on to these. Instead of keeping hold of like Vucevic, Aaron Gordon, and Fournier, who are not really going to take them anywhere anyway, and they are also older players. So you might as well cash in on them while you can and build for the future. So I think you'll definitely see that the Orlando Magic are one of those teams now that are going to be, try to get rid of anybody they can, because they're going to try and get as many picks as they can. But yeah, apart from that, the rumours have gone a little bit quiet on the front. But I'm waiting to see if we've got any more trade news coming in. Though as of right now, it doesn't seem like there's much coming in. I'll talk you through the deals that have already happened on the ESPN website. Again, before I went live, we had like 3 or 4 deals happen. And since I've gone live, nothing's happened. And you best believe that when I do eventually end the stream, news will start breaking in. That's just how it goes on the Sports Corner. It seems like we always end up missing the news. But in terms of deals that have already happened, like I mentioned, the first deal that happened was earlier on yesterday. Well, it was late last night in the UK yesterday. And it wasn't a massive trade, was it? Let's have a look. See what get down here. There we go. It was the Detroit Pistons. They traded away Delon Wright to the Sacramento Kings for guard Corey Joseph and 2 second-round picks. Again, not a massive trade. The Pistons are a team that, again, they wanted to get as many picks possible for their rebuild, and they pick up 2 there and on a pretty youngish point guard in Corey Joseph. So not a bad trade there for the Nuggets, and also the Kings get a new point guard in Delon Wright. The Denver Nuggets, as I mentioned, they just acquired Aaron Gordon, but before that, they acquired JaVale McGee from the Cleveland Cavaliers for center Isaiah Hartenstein and 2 second-round picks. So again, they already have Nicola Jokic. They've just acquired Aaron Gordon, 2 pretty big players, and they just added JaVale McGee to that front court. So, the one thing that the Nuggets are going to have an advantage over every team in the West is their height, because in the interior, I don't know who's going to be defending JaVale McGee and Nicola Jokic. Those are 2 massive players in the interior. But the Orlando Magic, again, they made another trade. But the biggest trade of the day, without a doubt, is the Magic getting rid of Nicola Jokic to the Chicago Bulls in exchange for Otto Porter Jr., Wendell Carter Jr., and 2 first-round picks in 2021 and 2023. And one of those, I believe, is actually protected. So, a big haul to give up there from the Bulls. They wanted to get a star player. They wanted to get an all-star caliber player in on the roster, but they have given up quite a fair few pieces there. In Wendell Carter, who's still a pretty good young ascending player. Otto Porter's kind of known as a more rotational player nowadays, but again, still 2 very good players given up. But in the end, it could definitely be worth it for the Bulls, who were looking to get that star man. The Boston Celtics also made a trade about 2 hours ago now. I think it's coming up on 2 hours ago. And they acquired Evan Fournier, who's he's averaging about 20 points a season so far for the Orlando Magic. He's a very good shooting guard. And all they had to give up was 2 second-round picks. So the Boston Celtics, who needed to get help for Jason Tatum, they needed to get help for Jaylen Brown. They only give up 2 second-round picks to acquire Evan Fournier, who's probably going to be their 6th man straight away. So again, very, very good trade there for the Celtics, who needed to do something today, and they've acquired Evan Fournier for pretty much nothing. This was reported just before I went live that Brian Windhorst of ESPN said that the Clippers have held talks about acquiring point guard Rajon Rondo from the Atlanta Hawks. Obviously, as we know, Rondo won the championship last season with the Los Angeles Lakers, became a free agent in November, signed a 2-year deal with the Hawks. But the Clippers were in desperate need of a point guard. They really are looking to get that point guard who can facilitate the offense. Rajon Rondo could be their man, and they are apparently in trade talks with the Hawks and looking to acquire him, maybe for a second-round pick and maybe a role player, is what I predict it would be anyway. And the latest trade that has happened is Aaron Gordon to the Denver Nuggets from the Orlando Magic in exchange for Gary Harris, RJ Hampton, a young rookie point guard, and a first-round pick in 2025 that is protected. So again, not a massive trade in terms of the Magic. They get the young players in the building, they get that first-round pick, but it's big news for the Denver Nuggets, who are looking to push on in the Western Conference, looking to possibly make the finals. I know it's very unlikely, but you never know in the NBA. All it takes is a few injuries, and you are completely, on track to make the NBA Finals. We just had a trade though, and it's Sacramento Kings once again. They're acquiring Nemanja Bjelica to the Heat. So the Heat, as I mentioned, they were in contention to maybe pick up Kyle Lowry from the Toronto Raptors. Nothing's happened on Kyle Lowry so far, but I'll keep you updated if anything does. But the Kings, they're trading big man Bjelica. So I think he's pretty old now, but again, he can be a pretty good rotational piece.
especially with the Heat, who are looking to contend in the Eastern Conference. So Woj has reported that now. I'll just have a quick look to see just what the conversation was in that trade. Again, I'm not seeing much on it. Yeah, basically all it says is that he's finalising that the Kings are finalising a trade to send Bjelica to the Miami Heat. So we're going to wait and see what the conversation is. But again, another big man to that Miami Heat rotation after they got rid of Myers Leonard. So yeah, the Heat again acquiring a player on the deadline day. But I'm sure the big fish they want is definitely Kyle Lowry. I've just seen something on NBA Central reported by B.A. Turner. And it says that in talking to now 3 NBA front office executives, all of them said a resounding no about the Lakers, including Taylor Horton-Tucker and any potential Kyle Lowry trade. So, Taylor Horton-Tucker, he kind of exploded onto the scene in the preseason early on this season. And he's kind of worked his way into the Lakers rotation as of late. And he's been shown a lot of promise to be a good future player for the Lakers. And there were reports that the Lakers, if they wanted to acquire Kyle Lowry, they didn't mind putting Taylor Horton-Tucker in a trade. However, it's now been reported by 3 NBA front office executives that the Lakers will not be moving Taylor Horton-Tucker at all. So, if the Lakers aren't willing to trade, THT, as people like to call him, I can't see them getting their hands on Kyle Lowry, unfortunately, because the Raptors want young players and picks, and the main young player for the Lakers is THT. And if they're not willing to trade him, then I can't see them getting Kyle Lowry. Another trade has gone down, though. Shams is reporting the Oklahoma City Thunder are finalising a trade. They're sending George Hill to the Philadelphia 76ers. So, as I mentioned, the 76ers were a potential candidate, were a potential trade destination for Kyle Lowry, but they are instead getting a different point guard. They're getting George Hill from the Oklahoma City Thunder. I believe George Hill's only played about 14, 15 games so far for the Thunder, who, again, another team that's rebuilding. They're building the team around Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But they're acquiring George Hill. Well, they're sending George Hill to the 76ers. And as I mentioned, the 76ers were definitely coming into this trade deadline looking for a point guard. And they have managed to get their point guard in George Hill. So a player that was pretty good on the Bucks last season in their run to the playoffs. The Bucks kind of disappointed everybody in last season's playoffs. Got beat by the Heat 4-1 in the Eastern Conference semi-finals. But they've now sent George Hill to the Sixers. In fact, the Thunder have sent George Hill to the Sixers. And the Sixers have finally got their new starting point guard pretty much. Well, not starting point guard because they got Ben Simmons, but they needed somebody else off the bench with it to bring that offensive spark. And I think George Hill can definitely do that. Woj has reported the conversation on the Bjelica trade to the Miami Heat. And it says that Miami is sending Mo Harkless, former Portland Trailblazer and Los Angeles Clipper forward, and Chris Silver to the Kings. So again, the Heat get that big man who can space the floor in Bjelica. Probably could average maybe 8 to 10 points on the Heat team. Not a bad defender either. And they're giving up Mo Harkless, who's a good two-way 3-and-D small forward, and Chris Silver, I believe, is a young power forward. I've not seen much of Chris Silver in the NBA, I can't lie. But again, he's more of a young player that the Kings can look to maybe build around. But again, it's not a massive trade in terms of the players that are being moved. But the Heat, it's a key trade for them because they get another piece as they look to try and return to the NBA Finals this year. We're just getting in loads of different trades going now. I'm just going to update the Twitter once again, see if we've got any more news. And this is the trade here. Woj reporting Philadelphia is acquiring George Hill, as I mentioned, in exchange for Tony Bradley, Terrence Ferguson, and 2 future second-round picks. Austin Rivers goes to OKC as part of a 3-way deal. So, George Hill, as I mentioned, he's one of those players that you can bring off the bench as a point guard. He can bring that offensive spark. And all the Oklahoma City Thunder have acquired for him is Tony Bradley and Terrence Ferguson. Again, 2 decent-ish rotation players, but OKC at this point, they're not looking to contend at all. It didn't make any sense for them to hang on to George Hill. And they've also acquired 2 future second-round picks. But it says here that Austin Rivers goes to OKC as part of a 3-way deal. So I'm very interested to see who that third team is in the deal. Another trade come through. Bloody hell. There's a lot of trades going on. Literally, just to refresh the Twitter, another trade has come through. And Norman Powell from the Toronto Raptors, who was a name that was, coming into the trade deadline, it was a name that many teams apparently were interested in acquiring Norman Powell. And he's been traded to the Portland Trailblazers for Gary Trent and Rodney Hood. So, again, Norman Powell goes to another contender there in Portland who've, had a bit of a rough season, but with Damian Lillard on the side, as you can see, they are currently 6th in the Western Conference. They are occupying that final normal playoff spot because obviously 7th or 10th is that play-in tournament. But the Trailblazers are currently 6th in the West and have now acquired themselves Norman Powell, very good rotation player, who's obviously won a championship with the Toronto Raptors. They're giving up Gary Trent and Rodney Hood for him. So again, not giving up too much for Norman Powell, but it's definitely a positive addition. And the three-way deal, the team involved in the three-way deal, is the New York Knicks. So the New York Knicks have acquired Terrence Ferguson in the deal, and they've also sent Austin Rivers to OKC. So it looks like the trade is George Hill to the 76ers, Tony Bradley, and Austin Rivers to the OKC Thunder and 2 second-round picks. And then the Knicks have acquired Terrence Ferguson, the athletic forward from the Thunder. So a three-way trade there. It just shows that anything can happen out of nowhere in the on the NBA trade line, and a three-way deal has just taken place. As I mentioned, if I was to pick a winner out of that, probably 76ers. They acquire the best player in my opinion, George Hill. The best player in that trade is without a doubt George Hill. He goes to the 76ers. But again, the Thunder were looking to rebuild. They get Tony Bradley. They get Austin Rivers, who's probably on an expiring deal. And they get 2 second-round picks out of it. So they get more picks to add to the flurry of picks that they already have. And the Knicks acquire a young athletic player in Terrence Ferguson. And the Knicks are also a team to look out for, because I know they were interested in DeMar DeRozan possibly. They are looking to acquire a star player because the Knicks have defied all the odds this season. They currently sit obviously in 6th place in the Eastern Conference. Julius Randle's been a revelation for them at the All-Star team. So if they can acquire another star player, we could see the Knicks maybe pushing on the Eastern Conference. But who would have thought that last season? But yeah, other than that, it's just pretty much George Hill's been the main trade. I'll just get that up on the ticker, on the banner. In the comments, let me know what you think of George Hill. If you're a fan of the 76ers, you like the trade for George Hill? Do you think he could be a spark off the bench for you? Do you think he's what you're missing? Let me know in the comments what you think of that. But yeah, he has been traded to the 76ers. Yeah, 3-way deal that includes the Knicks and the OKC Thunder. Up on the breaking news section. But yeah, a nice trade there for the 76ers. I'm not going to lie, I think it would have been a nice fit on the Clippers. Obviously, us Clippers, we do desperately need a point guard. And George Hill, I think, would have been a perfect one really off the bench. Apparently, we are in conversations to get Rajon Rondo. But for what the 76ers gave up there, not much to get him. And yeah, George Hill is a Philadelphia 76er now. I'm just going to refresh Twitter once again. It's showing that Bradley Beal tweet again. Here we go. I just can't see him getting traded. I cannot see Bradley Beal getting traded. I think it's just got to a point where now that if a team was going to trade for him, it would have already happened. I can't see a player like Bradley Beal getting traded on the deadline, unless the Wizards are absolutely blown away by a deal. But as you can see there, the Raptors, confirmed by Bleacher Report, the Raptors are trading for Norman Powell, and they're giving up Gary Trent and Rodney Hood, as I already mentioned. So another good role player there. Added to the Blazers team, who they need to give Damian Lillard all the help they can get, because Damian Lillard, arguably the top 10 player in the league. He's pretty much carried the Blazers into the playoff contention. Now they get Norman Powell, another good rotation guard to pair with Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum as Hoop Central I've mentioned right there. Let's get a quick drink there. But yeah. We had a lot of deals come in the last 2 minutes there. Norman Powell to the Blazers. Tony Bradley to OKC for George Hill. Austin Rivers also went to OKC, as I mentioned. So, where does that leave the likes of Lonzo Ball, who's still, I'm sure, still wants to be traded? We've still got Oladipo that could possibly be traded on the deadline. There's still a few players that I think I could definitely see get traded. I think it's just a matter of time, really. But as I mentioned, in terms of done deals, I'll talk you through them once again. The first deal happened late last night. Was the Detroit Pistons. They traded Delon Wright to the Sacramento Kings for Corey Joseph and 2 second-round picks. So a change of 2 guards there, and the Pistons got some more draft picks. The Nuggets, who've had a couple of trades today. The first trade they made was getting JaVale McGee from the Cavs in return for Isaiah Hartenstein and 2 second-round picks. So another big center there added to the Denver Nuggets rotation, along with Nicola Goosevich. That is a very, very big front court now. The biggest trade of the day, in terms of picks and players moving from team to team, probably the Bulls. They acquired Nicola Goosevich, all-star center from this season, and they also got Alfred Camino in the deal in return for Otto Porter Jr. and Wendell Carter Jr. and 2 first-round picks, which I believe are in 2021 and 2023, with one of them being protected. So the Chicago Bulls making moves. They came to the deadline. They wanted to get a star player to pair with Zach LaVine as they look to push into into the playoff places in the East. And they've done just that by acquiring Nicola Goosevich. Otto Porter is one of those players who's a pretty good rotational forward, and Wendell Carter still a very good young power forward / center in my opinion. So as I mentioned, the Magic fire sale started with that one there, and it continued as they got rid of Evan Fournier. They sent him to the Boston Celtics for only 2 second-round picks. And Fournier is in the final year of his 5-year, $85 million contract, and his $17 million salary would fit into the trade exception that the Celtics created in Gordon Hayward in the sign and trade this past offseason. So it fit right in for the Boston Celtics. It made absolutely 100% for the Boston Celtics. They needed someone off the bench that could help out Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And Evan Fournier is one of those players. He can come off the bench. He can be an instant spark for you as a sixth man. Come in and get some threes in there. He's definitely a very efficient shooter. And the fact they've only got 2 second-round picks for him, very, very good trade for the Celtics there, in my opinion. As I mentioned, Brian Windhorst reported on Thursday that he's here in the Clippers. Have had talks about acquiring Rajon Rondo from the Atlanta Hawks. Obviously, Rondo won the championship with the Lakers last season, signed with the Hawks in free agency this year on a 2-year deal. And now the Clippers are looking to acquire him as they look to get a point guard that can facilitate their offense. But we shall see what happens there. I've just got a notification on my phone confirming the Blazers trade for Norman Powell. But before that, there was another big trade, and it was Aaron Gordon going to the Denver Nuggets from the Orlando Magic. Probably about half an hour ago. That was first reported by Shams, and then confirmed by Adrian Wojnarowski later on. But the Denver Nuggets, in return, they gave up Gary Harris, rookie point guard RJ Hampton, and a 2025 first-round pick that is protected. So once again, the Nuggets, not only have they acquired JaVale McGee, they've also acquired Aaron Gordon now, as they look to improve their rotation come playoff time. And in reality, in my opinion, they didn't give up too much. Gary Harris is a pretty good shooting guard, and RJ Hampton could definitely be a future very good point guard in the league. But the Nuggets are wanting to win right now. They're wanting to get as many good players on the roster as they can. So it made absolute sense, and it made sense for the Magic as well. As I mentioned, they've traded away 3 players. They've acquired, I believe 3 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and some young players. So the Magic have got younger, looked to rebuild. They are second bottom in the East, so it didn't make any sense for them to hang on to 20 players. They acquired the picks, got the young players in, and teams like Denver and the Bulls, who are looking to compete in the playoffs, they acquired Vucevic and Aaron Gordon from them. So good trades for both sides, in my opinion. We've just had a report from Justin W. that the market for Victor Oladipo is 2 eyes emojis. So not too sure what that means. I think he's a reporter for the LA Clippers as well. Is Justin W. So we'll see what happens with Oladipo. He's definitely on the trade block, as far as I'm aware, from the Rockets. The Rockets are a team that just aren't contending at all, and they're looking to trade as many players as they can. But yeah, in terms of potential trade deals, as I mentioned, we had quite a few. We had obviously that the Nemanja Bjelica trade. He got traded to the Heat in exchange for what I believe was Mo Harkless and Chris Silver, young power forward. So the Heat obviously got better there, acquiring a starting centre really. But I'm just keep scrolling for the Twitter. If you have any questions, or if you have like a team you support, if you want me to look for any rumours on that team, just put it in the chat and I'll definitely have a look for you. But we've had, like I said, George Hill also got traded. He got traded to the 76ers from the OKC Thunder. In return, the OKC Thunder got Tony Bradley, Austin Rivers, and 2 second-round picks. And the Knicks were also involved as a third team in that trade, where they got athletic shooting guard, small forward Terrence Ferguson. So a small 3-team trade there. In my opinion, the Sixers definitely won that trade. They needed a point guard to come off the bench and help add that offensive spark, and that's exactly what they've got in George Hill. And they didn't have to go too much for him as well. So very, very good trade there for the Philadelphia 76ers. We'll put down here, Jordan Schultz reported 25 minutes ago, he put the OKC's George Hill is a target for Philly, and they obviously did trade for him. With the Raptors' high demands on Kyle Lowry until the Sixers are considering less expensive point guards. So with Kyle Lowry now not being traded to the Sixers, I think it leaves the door wide open for the Miami Heat. I mentioned that I thought the Heat were the favourites to pick him up. And I think by the end of the day, you'll probably see Kyle Lowry as a member of the Miami Heat. If they're willing to offer Duncan Robinson, I think that trade could without a doubt go down. And it will be a big addition for the Heat. They've got Jimmy Butler. Bleacher Report have just tries to keep up with all these trades. The Jimmy Butler meme. they are absolutely right. I'm talking for all these trades. I'm trying to keep you up to date on all the trades that have already happened, but trades happen at the same time. I'm having to talk pretty quickly. I'm having to, go through these trades quite quickly because, it's a very, very active day. A lot of stuff is happening. And according to the Steinline, he's reported the Warriors have traded Justin Danny Green, who I believe plays for the 76ers now. He played for the Lakers last season, won the championship with them. From the 76ers, so the Warriors looking to add more shooting to their backcourt. They've already got Steph Curry, obviously Klay Thompson, missing the season with that awful Achilles tear. He tore his ACL not long ago, now he tore his Achilles. I don't think he could get more unlucky, really. But again, the Warriors looking to add more shooting there with Danny Green, as they also look to push into the play-in spots. And 1 minute ago, the Sixers are in the market for a 3-and-D player. So they've just acquired George Hill, but they are also looking for a 3-and-D player. I think Norman Powell could have been a good option for them, but he ends up going somewhere else, unfortunately for them. But yeah, I'm just going to try and keep up to date on all the trades. See if any more news is coming through. We've still got quite a few hours to go on the trade line, about 3 hours until the deadline is actually going to hit. So we've still got plenty more time. I'm going to be streaming until about quarter to 7, maybe about 6:30. The deadline doesn't shut until it shuts 8 o'clock tonight UK time, 3 p.m. Eastern time in the US. But I'm going to be stopping about maybe 6:30, quarter to 7, because Josh is actually streaming live the UCL tournament. And what I'm talking about, I might as well get it up on the Twitter. If you don't already follow our Twitter, make sure you do. It's at @the_Sports Corner. We cover a lot of different sports. I'll just put the YouTube link up here. Well, the YouTube link, you're already watching it. It's the Sports Corner. The Twitter of it is at @the_Top Corner, as I mentioned. It's where we keep you up to date on the streams that are happening, the videos that are going to be uploaded. We do also have a website over the sports-corner.com, where we put up daily news pieces on football, NFL, WWE. There could be possibly some darts pieces going up there very, very soon. So make sure you keep up to date with the website. There's a lot of stuff going up there, and it's very good content for you. And the Instagram is the _sportscorner_. Very similar to the Twitter. We put the posts, the things that's going on the YouTube, the videos that are going to be uploaded, the live streams going to happen. We usually report that on the Twitter and the Instagram. So make sure you go follow those links to keep up to date on all things the Sports Corner. But as I mentioned, as I was going to talk about, I might as well show you guys, it's the FIFA 2021 UCL Tournament Sim. The draw is tonight at 7 p.m. 32 players are taking part. Me and Josh, we counted these players up for the past month or so. We've managed to get 32 players locked in. So if you join us at 7 p.m. tonight, you will find out what team you've been given. Basically, it's going to be a live draw. So Josh is going to spin the wheel of teams. It's going to land on a team, and then it's going to land on someone's name. And obviously, whatever team your name lands on is what team you're going to be managing. You don't have to play the game. It's the same. You don't need FIFA. Basically, you're just going to manage your team. And when the games are being simmed, you can tell Josh if you want any subs making. If you want, you can tell Josh what formations you want to start with. So you basically are just the manager of a team. However, the game's a sim, so anything can happen. As we know, it's the magic of FIFA. We don't know what could happen. The worst team in the UCL could go on and win the tournament because even if you've got a team like a Bayern Munich, for example, you're not guaranteed to win it because it is a sim at the end of the day. So it's all random. We did something similar with the Euros last summer, and it was a big success. So we're going to do it again tonight with the UCL tournament. Don't miss the draw tonight at 7 p.m. You'll find out what team you've got, and the games are going to be played, I believe, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Josh is going to be streaming it all over the weekend. It's international break in football, so there's no club football going on. So we thought to counter that, we might as well host the live sim over this weekend. Cash prize are included. First, second, and third will all get a cash prize. So make sure you do keep up to date with it. The money. There are obviously cash prizes involved, as I mentioned. So there is money involved. So if you keep up to date with it, you could definitely win yourself some cash. But don't miss the draw tonight because that's the only way you'll find out what team you've got and what team you're going to manage. You might want to go on FIFA later on tonight and pick your lineup and choose the players that you want to go with. But yeah, don't miss out on that tonight. 7 p.m. straight after this stream. As I mentioned, I'm going to stream until about 6:30, quarter to 7. But straight after this stream, that will be on tonight. So make sure you do not miss it with Josh. But other than that, I'm going to go back to the Twitter, see if we've got any more trades coming through, any more possible trades happening. But they are coming thick and fast, as I mentioned. It seems like we didn't get one for about half an hour, and then we got about 3 in 10 minutes. So it was pretty tough to keep up with. But as as I mentioned, there, Norman Powell got traded to the Portland Trailblazers for Gary Trent and Rodney Hood. And we've just had another trade go through, according to Woj. He's put here that the Knicks also send Iggy Brazdeikis to Philadelphia in the 3-way deal. So as mentioned, that was the George Hill deal was a 3-way deal. George Hill and I think it was just George Hill to the 76ers. Tony Bradley and Austin Rivers go to the OKC Thunder, along with 2 second-round picks. Terrence Ferguson goes to the Knicks, and now Iggy Brazdeikis goes from the Knicks to Philadelphia. So Philadelphia get George Hill and Iggy, and the Sixers also send second-round picks in 2025 and 2026 to the Thunder. So the second-round picks that they've given up are, pretty small second-round picks. They're not going to be effective in the next few years. It's going to be literally 2025 and 2026. They are pretty far down the road. So again, in my opinion, the Sixers have given up basically nothing to acquire George Hill. They've given up some depth players. They've given up some some second-round picks that are way in the future. So in my opinion, a very, very good trade for the 76ers. They get that point guard who's going to be, coming off the bench to give that offensive spark. But again, that's not the only trade we've had today. We've had a lot of big trades going through. The big trade of the day was Nicola Goosevich. He got traded to the Chicago Bulls from the Magic. Again, it was a massive trade between the two sides. The Magic got also sent Al-Farouq Aminu to the Bulls, and in return, the Bulls sent Otto Porter Jr., Wendell Carter Jr., and 2 first-round picks in 2021 and 2023. So that the Bulls give up a lot. They give up two good players and 2 first-round picks. It's a hefty fee, hefty price to pay for Vucevic, but at the end of the day, he's an all-star. And the Bulls, they currently sit, I believe, it's 7th or 8th in the Eastern Conference. Well, no, they're actually 10th, but they are currently in the playoff play-in tournament. So the way the playoffs are going to work this season, it's going to be 1 to 6. They're going to be the teams that are guaranteed a playoff spot, and then 7 to 10, I believe, is going to be like a playoff tournament. So I think it's 10th will play 9th, 7th will play 8th. The winner of both of those games, will then meet in a final and decide who gets the 7th and 8th spots in the playoffs. So the Bulls, they're definitely still in contention to make the playoffs, but they need to add more star power. And that's exactly what they did with the trade for Nicola Vucevic. They give Otto Porter and Wendell Carter, who are 2 good players, as I mentioned, but Vucevic made the All-Star team this year. I think he's averaging a double-double. So it's definitely a big trade for the Bulls. And they're also still looking to get Lonzo Ball. And if they did manage to get Lonzo Ball as well, to pair with Nicola Vucevic and Zach LaVine, who was also an All-Star this season, the Bulls were looking like a very good team on paper. But so far on Lonzo Ball, not much has happened on him. Not had much from Lonzo Ball. I heard the Clippers made an offer to the Pelicans for him, but the Clippers don't have much to trade, so they can't really give up much for him. But yeah, Vucevic is the big deal of the day. We also had some smaller deals going on the Pistons. Traded Delon Wright to the Kings for Corey Joseph for 2 second-round picks, and also the Nuggets acquiring JaVale McGee from the Cavs for Isaiah Hartenstein and 2 second-round picks. The Nuggets get bigger inside, get another big center to pair with Jokic. The Celtics got Evan Fournier for 2 second-round picks, an absolute steal there for the Celtics. They had a player that could come off the bench as the 6th man, and almost as like a bench spark, similar to what George Hill's going to do for the 76ers. Evan Fournier is going to do the same for the Celtics, and they only has to go 2 second-round picks for him. The Clippers are holding talks with the Atlanta Hawks in terms of Rajon Rondo. They wanted to sign Rondo last offseason after he won that championship with the Lakers. They weren't able to get him, but they're looking to acquire him now on the deadline day in a trade. We'll see what happens there. This man's name, though, has not been mentioned a lot so far. Kyle Lowry. It was mentioned earlier that the Heat, the Lakers, and the 76ers were all interested in Kyle Lowry, but with the 76ers trading for George Hill, with the Lakers not having many assets to trade, I personally can't see Kyle Lowry going to the Lakers, which means I think Kyle Lowry will end up going to the Heat. Brian Windhorst reported that he'll be on the Heat or the 76ers by the end of the day. So, God knows what's going to happen with Kyle Lowry, but I think if you're the Heat, it's a move you definitely should make, because if you're going to compete for the championship, come playoff time, you need like a smaller rotation with better star players in. I think that, a player like Kyle Lowry, alongside Jimmy Butler, that's 2 big leaders in the locker room, and 2 players that know how to win a championship. I know Jimmy Butler's never won a championship, but he did take the Heat to the finals last season, where they ultimately fell to the Los Angeles Lakers. But Kyle Lowry will definitely be a positive addition to that Heat side, who again are looking to make noise in the playoffs. I'm just going to go back into this quick. I think I've seen the rumor come through. Nothing. Can't see anything. But yeah, according to Woj there, just as I said, the Sixers are no longer in on Kyle Lowry, and it makes sense. They just acquired George Hill from the OKC Thunder, and even if they didn't get George Hill, a trade for Kyle Lowry for the Sixers were going to be very, very tough anyway. So yeah, the Sixers are now out on Kyle Lowry, but the Heat and Lakers are still very interested. So the Lakers, as I mentioned, I thought it'd be hard for them to get Kyle Lowry. They are not out of the race just yet. If I could put money anywhere, I think I'd say the Heat are going to get him. But if the Lakers can acquire Kyle Lowry, it will be a massive trade for them. However, as I mentioned earlier, Taylor Horton-Tucker was a player that the Lakers do not want to give up at all. And it says here they refuse to add him in the trade talks for Kyle Lowry. And unless he's put in the trade talks, I can't see the Raptors accepting because the Raptors want younger players and picks probably. And Taylor Horton-Tucker's, he's kind of exploded onto the scene this year for the Lakers as a young player. But if they want to get Kyle Lowry, those are the players that you've got to sacrifice, unfortunately. But I can't see the Lakers getting rid of him, which is a shame. For Lakers fans that want to get Kyle Lowry. But I can also understand why they won't want to get rid of Taylor Horton-Tucker because he's a very good young talent. I've seen another report here about the Rajon Rondo. Brian Windhorst heard some talks about the Clippers exploring a trade for Rajon Rondo, but again, I've not seen anything on it. I've not seen anything materialise from it. We've been given a comment from KD. Israel getting the dub against Denmark? Well, of course they are, mate. Of course they are. Israel, they got absolutely robbed of the Euro place. They should have beaten Scotland in the playoffs. And they do play Scotland again. It seems like they play Scotland every single month. But Israel are obviously going to beat Denmark tonight. I can't really see Christian Eriksen getting much from No Bitten. He's absolutely going to take him clean out. And Aaron Zahavi is going to have the Denmark defence on absolute spaghetti legs. So you best believe Israel are going to get the dub tonight, lad. So NFL news, however, the Cardinals have signed Malcolm Butler on a one-year deal. So I know it's not basketball related, but a decent deal there for the Cardinals, getting a veteran cornerback in. The Cardinals have had a great offseason, they really have. And they've just now got Malcolm Butler in on a one-year deal. So fair play to the Cardinals. But in terms of basketball news, not much happening again. It's gone a bit quiet, which is a shame. Terrence Ross, I've just seen it. Someone said that Terrence Ross put out a tweet. The player from the Magic will possibly get traded. He's actually trending. Terrence Ross is actually trending. So what did he put? He put on his Twitter, did he put on his Instagram? So he literally just put, I am the captain now, because literally Terrence Ross, as he said, the Magic have traded everybody. They've traded away Vucevic, they've traded away Aaron Gordon, they've traded away, who else have they traded away? Evan Fournier. So Terrence Ross probably is the best player on that roster right now, and he's put, I am the captain now in a GIF, which is pretty funny. And he also put, lol, if you don't laugh, you cry. So it doesn't sound like Terrence Ross is very happy about the Magic, trading away all their players. He's just been putting gifs on his Twitter all day long about him crying, about him being upset. But unfortunately, that is the NBA. Unfortunately, it's a cruel business. You could be on a team 1 minute and you could be shipped out completely the next day. So it's very, very hard to predict. Jamal Murray has put 2 frowning emojis on his Twitter. Maybe that's because he didn't want to see Gary Harris get traded and RJ Hampton, but they did acquire. They obviously did acquire Aaron Gordon, so maybe Jamal Murray will have more of a smiling face when he sees Aaron Gordon line up with him in the lineup. Mark Stein's reported this, however. The Warriors have emerged as a potential trade destination for Philadelphia's Danny Green. You mentioned it earlier that the 76ers were interested in getting Danny Green. I'm not too sure what they would have to give up for him. But the Warriors, again, they're looking at Danny Green to add to the backcourt. Danny Green, he's proven that he can be a good shooter in the playoffs. Not recently, but he's definitely shown that, when he played for the Spurs quite a while back now, he's shown that he can be a clutch shooter in the playoffs. If the Warriors got him, added more shooting to that backcourt, it'd be a pretty good trade in my opinion, especially if you can get him for pretty minimal capital. According to Flash Sports Buzz, Barry Jackson, who is he's verified reporter of Florida's major sports teams, he said that a surprise suit for Kyle Lowry has emerged. The Los Angeles Clippers. So, as I mentioned, the Clippers, they've got pretty much no assets to offer. If they're going to get Kyle Lowry, it's probably going to be for someone like a Luke Kennard or a Marcus Morris, and maybe a couple of second-round picks, and maybe also Terrence Mann. The Clippers would have to give quite a bit for him, but I personally can't see them getting Kyle Lowry. His contract's too big. The Clippers don't have the assets. It just doesn't make sense for the Clippers to do that. It makes sense for him to do it, but they don't have the assets to do it. So pretty much impossible if you're asking me. Maybe if they look out in the buyout market for a different point guard, I'd look to get someone like Rajon Rondo. Whatever happens, the Clippers do need to get a point guard, in my opinion. But again, NBA Central also reporting that the Clippers are engaged in trade talks for Kyle Lowry. I'd be very amazed if we got Kyle Lowry, because I don't know what we'd have to give up for him. Whether it is Luke Kennard, I'm not too sure. But again, we've only about 2.5 hours till deadline to go. We'll find out pretty shortly if Kyle Lowry is going to move him from the 76ers or not, from the Raptors or not. Just going to get a quick drink, because again, there's not much. The rumours have kind of quieted down a little bit in terms of the NBA. Yeah, in terms of trades, as I mentioned, it's going to be quiet. We have had a lot of trades already happen. I think I've gone through them about 5 times now, because I had to. They all kind of came in at once. All the trades kind of came in at once, so I had to get through them pretty quickly. But if you did miss any, you just put in the comments if you want to know about your certain team, if they've made any trades, if they're interested in anybody, and I'll try and search on Twitter if there's any news coming out on them. Yeah, all it is now is just refreshing the Twitter, waiting for any more deals to come through. I'll have a look on ESPN again on their latest buzz. I think the one man that we're all waiting to see get traded is Kyle Lowry. If we ever look at Kyle Lowry's stats this season, he's averaging about 17.4 points a game, 6 rebounds, and 8 assists. So, Kyle Lowry, even though he's 34 years of age, he's still a very, very effective player. I think whoever gets him is getting a leader. They're getting a player that's proven he can do it in the playoffs, because obviously he did win that championship. Although they did have Kawhi Leonard, Kyle Lowry was still a very big part of that team that helped them to win the championship. He's an efficient 3-point shooter, as we've seen throughout his career. He's a very good playmaker. I think, like I said, whoever gets Kyle Lowry is a phenomenal trade for them. But I just don't know who's going to get him outside the Heat. I think the Heat are probably the best option for him. But again, you've also got to wonder, would the Heat want to give Duncan Robinson? Would they want to give Tyler Hero for him? Kyle Lowry is pretty old now. He's probably only got maybe 2 or 3 years left in the league. But I do think he will be traded before the deadline today. I definitely think he will be traded. We'll just have to wait and see. It's just a waiting game now on most of these trades. As I mentioned, about 2 hours, 45 minutes to go until the deadline. I'm going to stream it for about another hour and 15 minutes. Because obviously at 7 o'clock, as I mentioned, we've got the UCL sim tournament stream. So I'm not going to obviously stream into that, because we don't want 2 streams going at once. So I'm going to stream till about 6:30, 7:15, depending on the type of deals that we get. As you can see, Magic's burner. I just put this on our engaging trade talks, interested in having inquired about. Pretty much all these reports they're all pretty much rumours at the minute. We've got a lot of rumours going around. I just don't know whether to think most of them are real or not. For example, Kyle Lowry to the Clippers is just a rumour at this point. I just can't see the Clippers acquiring a Kyle Lowry. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to go for another hour and 15 minutes. Then we'll have the UCL sim tournament. You'll find out, if you're taking part in that, you'll find out what team you've got in the draw. Josh is going to be doing it. It's very, very fun. Very, very fun tournament. We did a similar thing to the Euros last year. That went down as a very big success. So hopefully the Champions League, everyone taking part takes it seriously. Picks their lineups for every single team, gets really involved in it, because it is a very, very good, tournament. Very, very exciting. Checking my phone for any more reports. As I mentioned, the Miami Herald has said the Clippers in Toronto are engaged in trade talks for Kyle Lowry. I personally can't see it, but you never know. You never know. In terms of deals that have already happened, though, got a comment through. Braithwaite just ran through and chipped the keeper. Let me just get your comment right quick. Just stop sharing my screen a second. Braithwaite just ran through and chipped keeper. Well, Israel might be losing 1-0. You know what, KD? Well, let's get the Israel game up right quick, because there's not many trades going on. But let me get the Israel game up right quick. Let me just check the score, because I didn't actually realise that Israel were playing right now. Are they playing right now? So they are playing right now. Martin Braithwaite, the Barcelona legend himself, as you can see, he's put them at 1-0 up in the World Cup qualifiers against Israel. But don't worry, because if you have a look at the lineups here, Aaron's Harvey, this one, he's going to bag a hat-trick. Solomon's going to get 3 assists. They'll turn it around quickly, don't you worry about that. And I can't believe it, but they're not even playing Nurbitten. Where is he? Nurbitten's the best defender on the team, and he's not even playing. Shocking. Israel are losing. Pretty good about that, not going to lie. But hopefully they can turn it around, and hopefully we can get some more trade deals coming through, because it has gone very quiet on the trade deals so far. Again, we've not got long till the deadline, so if teams want to make deals, they better start making them right now. I swear I got a notification there about something happening. Let's have a look. Is it from Woj? Bobby Marks has just said this, by the way. Well, Ojin Wojnarowski has retweeted it. He said that the Oklahoma City Thunder now has predicted 34 draft picks over the next 7 years. 17 first-round picks, 17 second-round picks. So the Oklahoma City Thunder, at this rate, they're averaging like what? Well, they could have at this rate. They're probably going to have all the first-round picks out of every single team. But yeah, over the next 7 years, 34 draft picks. So not only have they got a lot of picks that they can make, but they've also got a lot of draft capital. Let's say in a couple of years' time, that the Thunder get a standout rookie player, and they want to pair him with a superstar. They've got the picks to do it. They can offer more picks than anyone else in the league. They, since they traded Paul George and Russell Westbrook, they've acquired an absolute ton of picks. And fair play to them, because they weren't going to go anywhere with the team they've got, so they might as well trade it and get some and get the picks and think about the long term, because as you can see there, it definitely is worth it. 34 picks over the next 7 years for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Absolutely crazy. But yeah, in terms of like I was saying, in terms of trades, all going a little bit quiet. Not much happening on the trade front. Well, Hoop Central reporting 11 seconds ago. Still some big names left on the board. Kyle Lowry, Vince Oladipo, Lonzo Ball, Terrence Ross. Well, deadline day. And do you know what? Out of those 4 names, I think we could definitely see at least 2 of those still get traded. As I mentioned, we've had big names like Vucevic get traded. JaVale McGee's already been traded. Aaron Gordon's already been traded. Evan Fournier's been traded. We've had some pretty big trades already go through. But Kyle Lowry, he's definitely a player that I think is going to get traded before the end of the day. I'm predicting he goes to Miami Heat. Vince Oladipo, to be honest, I've got no idea where Oladipo could go. I mean, I believe he's a free agent this season, so he will be on an expiring deal. Plays for the Rockets at the moment, who again are not really contending for anything. So, Vince Oladipo, could he get traded? Could he not? I think he's definitely the big wild card of the day. Lonzo Ball, again, another player that, if I'm the Pelicans, I don't think I want to trade Lonzo Ball. He's still a young point guard. He's got a very good connection with Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. But for some reason, he just doesn't fit into their long-term plans. So Lonzo Ball, he could definitely still be traded. The Bulls were suited for Lonzo Ball. The 76ers were interested in him, but I think with them getting George Hill, I think Lonzo Ball is off the table for the 76ers. The Clippers also had interest in Lonzo Ball. The Knicks had interest in Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball, from what I heard, was very, very, in demand for many teams in the NBA. But we'll have to see what happens with him. Obviously, the older brother of LaMelo Ball, who's been lighting the league up recently, unfortunately got injured for the rest of the season, which was a shame. And then the final name on this list is Terrence Ross. The Magic have already traded away Vucevic, Aaron Gordon, and Fournier. Could they trade away their other piece in Terrence Ross, who, he's on a pretty big contract, I believe, but he could definitely be a player that could contribute to a winning team. And we'll have to wait and see if the Magic, try and get another trade gone for him. Try and get some more picks in for him. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if they did. But this, as it stands here, there's more NFL news coming through than NBA news right at the moment. Giovanni Bernard apparently got traded from the Cincinnati Bengals. But let's have a look. Any more trade deals coming through? Doesn't look like it. Looks like something a little bit quiet on the trade deadline. News and rumors. That's Josh Hart there. I was mentioning the OKC having 17 picks of the next 7 drafts. Absolutely crazy. Bobby Marks put on a tweet though about how Bobby Marks is kind of the NBA cap expert. He breaks down a lot of how teams can fit players under their cap, and he said that to Philadelphia, George Hill, it looks like he's on a 2-year deal, maybe 9.6 and 10 million guaranteed, with the balance bridge at 8-1. New York Knicks open up a roster spot, and they also acquired Terrence Ferguson. Obviously, OKC. I think Austin Rivers on a 3-year deal, as it says there. He's guaranteed about $3 million in each year for the Thunder. Tony Bradley's an RFA at the end of the season, and they got two second-round picks. So again, I think the trade makes sense for all these teams because George Hill instantly becomes that point guard off the bench for Philadelphia. They needed offensive spark. They got George Hill, so a good trade for them. And they did not have to give up much. The Knicks, they got Terrence Ferguson. At this point, Terrence Ferguson, a former first-round pick, he's nothing special, but he can be used as a pretty good depth player. But they also opened that roster spot. So if Andrew Drummond, for example, is in the buyout market, expect the Knicks to go after Andrew Drummond because they've got that one open roster spot where they can add a free agent or a buyout player. So the Knicks, their day definitely isn't over yet. I think they can definitely add a few more players before the deadline. And OKC, obviously, they got Austin Rivers on that 3-year deal. Again, it's a small 3-year deal. He's a decent backup point guard. And Tony Bradley, who's an RFA at the end of the year. And they also got 2 second-round picks. As I mentioned, that now takes them up to 37 draft picks over the next 7 years. So OKC rebuilding, stocking up on picks. New York Knicks get a young player and open up that roster spot. And the 76ers get that point guard they can bring off the bench in George Hill, who was very, very good for the Bucks last season. For what he brought, to the Bucks last season as a backup point guard, I thought it was pretty good for the Bucks. And the 76ers have had a phenomenal season so far. Joel Embiid was probably without a doubt is an MVP candidate this season. His game steps up massively, and as you can see there, they currently sit top of the Eastern Conference with a record of 31-13. So the fact that having George Hill's that team, very, very good day to be a 76ers fan indeed. But in terms of, like I said, I'm just going to keep refreshing it over and over. Put in the chat if you've got a team you support and you want to find out more about their trade news. Put it in the chat and I'll have a look. I'll search it up. We've had a lot of deals going through. Obviously, the big deal of the day, as mentioned, is that Bulls they acquired All-Star center Nicola Goosevich in exchange for Otto Porter Jr., Wendell Carter Jr., and 2 first-round picks. So a big horse cover there for the Bulls. But they get the All-Star center in. They pair him with their current All-Star in Zach LaVine. So a very big trade there for the Chicago Bulls. I also said that the Denver Nuggets traded for Aaron Gordon. They gave up Gary Harris, RJ Hampton, and a 2025 first-round pick, which is protected. So they didn't give up much for him. And they had another athletic wing. It's a pretty good defender. Can shoot the 3. Very good addition there for the Denver Nuggets as they look to push on in the Western Conference playoffs. And as I mentioned, George Hill was traded to the 76ers not long ago. He can be that spark off the bench at the point guard position. But as Hoop Central mentioned, we've still got a few players that could definitely get traded. One of those being Lonzo Ball. As I mentioned, Lonzo Ball, the former number 2 overall pick, was traded to the Pelicans, part of the Anthony Davis deal back in 2019. And I thought that he was probably the player the Lakers didn't want to lose. It turns out Kyle Kuzma was the player they were set on keeping. But they ended up sending Lonzo Ball to the Pelicans along with Brandon Ingram. And Brandon Ingram's been an all-star team last year. He's definitely flourished. Lonzo Ball, I wouldn't say he struggled to get going because he's having a good season this year. I think this year definitely is his career year. He's a restricted free agent coming up on this free agency as well. So if he wants to find a new team, he can do. But the Pelicans can still match any offer that is received for him. So, Lonzo Ball is definitely a player I could see getting traded by the end of the day. I mean, 76ers are interested in him, but again, with them getting George Hill, I can't see that happening now. The Knicks are interested in Lonzo Ball, the Bulls are interested in Lonzo Ball, the Clippers were interested in Lonzo Ball. There's a lot of teams interested in Lonzo that need a point guard, need that playmaking ability. So Lonzo Ball definitely a player that I think will be traded by the end of the day from the New Orleans Pelicans. But also, there's not just the trade market. There's also the buyout market, as I mentioned. Players that don't get traded, that wanted to find a new team, they can end up getting released and put onto the buyout market, which basically means they become a free agent, and teams with open roster spots can pick up a player as a free agent. I think Andrew Drummond is one of those players that could be a potential buyout market player. He's been linked with the Lakers. He's been linked with the Knicks. He's been linked with the Clippers. Obviously, I think the Lakers, they need a big man to replace. They got rid of JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard. They definitely need a big man. We're going up against Jokic and JaVale McGee and the Nuggets. They definitely need a big man that's going to help in the inside defense and get those rebounds. I think Drummond can be that main man for the Lakers. So expect the buyout market to be also very, very active after the trade deadline is over. Got a report here from Pompey on Sixers. says that Danny Green's agent told him expected to be traded. So it's looking like Danny Green is more likely to get traded than not. We heard that the Warriors were interested in getting Danny Green. Again, for a player like Danny Green, he's on a smaller deal. I think he expires this year. The 76ers are probably going to get maybe a late round pick for him, maybe a bench player and a late round pick move for Danny Green, but it won't be a massive trade. But again, the Warriors were interested in acquiring Danny Green to bring off the bench, or possibly even start next to Steph Curry in the backcourt. Bobby Marks has also put here that OKC will need to open a roster spot as a result of the trade. So, as mentioned, we talked through that 3-team deal. With OKC acquiring Rivers and Tony Bradley, Bobby Marks has said that OKC will need an open roster spot as a result of the trade. So, Myers Leonard, who they acquired from the Heat, will most likely be the cap casualty. So, Myers Leonard had those controversial comments a few weeks ago. I won't go into it too much, but it basically cost him his place on the Heat team. They basically shipped him off because Myers Leonard, he showed in the playoffs that he can be an offensive 3-point shooter. So if he gets released, I think someone could definitely pick him up in the buyout market. But again, with the comments that he made, he kind of messed it up for himself. He lost his place on the Heat, and looks like he's going to be released by the 76ers, by the OKC Thunder. Sorry, as they acquired 2 players in that 3-team deal. But other than that, again, it's going to be quiet. We've got a lot of rumours, in terms of Kyle Lowry and Lonzo Ball, but we've not got a lot of actual trades going down. About 2.5 hours to go to the deadline. So the deadline is rapidly approaching. And if we're going to see any trades, we'll probably see them very, very soon, hopefully. I'm going to stream until 6:30, as I mentioned, because Josh is obviously streaming his, it's the UCL Sim Tournament draw at 7 o'clock. So I'm obviously not going to stream that at the same time. We're only going to have one stream running. So the UCL Sim draw is at 7 o'clock. I'm going to be going to 6:30 tonight. Again, the trade deadline for the NBA isn't till 8 p.m. UK time, 3 p.m. Eastern time in the US. So trades will still happen when the stream ends. So make sure you keep your eye out on Twitter. People like Adrian Wojnarowski, I'm sure he's going to be updating everybody by the hour in terms of players that could get traded. But as I mentioned, I'm getting more NFL news in than NBA news at the moment. Obviously, with that NFL free agent stream last week, a couple of weeks ago now, I think it was. No, it was last week, wasn't it? Yeah, so free agency is still happening in the NFL, and deals are still definitely going on. But in terms of the NBA, not much going on in the trade deadline. I'll have a look on the Twitter again if there's any more trade rumours been reported that I'm just missing out on. But yeah, the big man really that we mentioned is Kyle Lowry. Where he ends up, I think it'll be the Heat, but we'll have to wait and see. Where he does end up, because Kyle Lowry, as mentioned, is still a good leader, still a very good player. Will be a fine addition to any team. But we'll have to wait and see where he ends up. Vucevic, the new Chicago Bull there, got traded. And Carp's put in football news on the NBA trade deadline. Yeah, Malcolm Butler signing with the Arizona Cardinals. I'll just keep my eye out for any more news on the trade deadline. Lonzo Ball, he's definitely been a player that's been involved in trade talks. I'm going to go quickly get a drink. I'll be back in 2 minutes or so. Hopefully nothing breaks while I'm going to get a drink, but I'll be back in about 2 minutes. Let's mute for a second there because my dad walked in and he was putting some stuff in the fridge, so I didn't want to obviously have everyone hearing what was going on in the background. But it looks like I didn't miss anything. Surprise, surprise. As I mentioned, there's more NFL news going on than bloody NBA news right now. But yeah, again, there's a lot of deals have happened, but in terms of it's just more rumours at the minute. There's nothing imminent, I believe. Again, it's even gone quiet. I don't think we've had a deal now for the past 20 minutes. Also, so we'll have to wait and see if we get any more news on the NBA trade deadline. But while we're waiting for more news to come through, I'll just talk you through the deals that have already happened. So obviously it started last night. One of the smaller deals, but it was the first one to happen really. The Pistons agreed to trade Delon Wright to Sacramento Kings for guard Corey Joseph and 2 second-round draft picks. So again, it wasn't, like I said, nothing amazing for both sides, but the Pistons they get the 2 second-round picks in as they look to rebuild because they are currently bottom of the East, which is not good for them. But again, it was a good trade for both sides as they just kind of swap players and picks. The Nuggets, however, they had a pretty good trade, I thought, earlier on. They got JaVale McGee from the Cleveland Cavaliers for Isaiah Hartenstein and 2 second-round picks. The Nuggets already got one of the biggest sides in the league with Jokic as centre and some big power forwards as well. And now they had JaVale McGee to that front court. A team like the Lakers who desperately needed to get interior defense. I know they were definitely after JaVale McGee after they lost him in free agency last year. He now goes to the Nuggets. So Nuggets, who were a problem for everybody last season with their interior force, now become an even bigger problem because JaVale McGee, big rebounder, an athletic defender. It's a good addition for the Denver Nuggets. It really, really is. But the biggest deal of the day in terms of player movement and picks involved, I think it's fair to say, it was the Orlando Magic. They traded away Nicola Goosevich, who was an All-Star this year, and Al-Farouq Aminu. They went to the Chicago Bulls in exchange for Otto Porter Jr., Wendell Carter Jr. and 2 first-round picks. So, in the Bulls, they give up a big haul. I thought 2 first-round picks in 2021 and 2023, with one of them being protected. So not only do you give up the 2 first-round picks, Wendell Carter Jr. I think is a very good young centre/power forward, and Otto Porter is a good rotational piece to play in the as a small forward as well. So, Bulls give up a lot, but they do get that bona fide all-star player in Nicola Vucevic to pair him with their current all-star shooting guard in Zach LaVine. So a good trade in my opinion for the Bulls as they look to try and push on for the playoffs. Also, I don't think the Magic did too bad because they got picks of the future. They got a young player in Wendell Carter Jr. and a pretty good rotational piece in Otto Porter. And they are also still interested in Lonzo Ball, according to Adrian Wojnarowski. So don't rule out Lonzo Ball move to the Bulls just yet. They were very interested in him yesterday. And they're very much still interested in him now, even with the fact that they've managed to get Nicola Vucevic. Another player was traded from the Magic as well, quite a while back, and that was Evan Fournier, traded to the Boston Celtics for only 2 second-round picks. And when I first saw the steal, I thought it was an absolute steal. To be honest, I still do think it is a steal. To be fair, because Evan Fournier, is averaging around 20 points a game for the Magic so far. Although I don't think he'll average 20 points for the Celtics. When he joins Celtics, because obviously he won't take as many shots. He's still an effective player. He still knows how to shoot the ball very well, very good on the offensive end. And the Celtics, they has to get someone in to help out Jaylen Brown. They has to get someone in to help out Jason Tatum. And Evan Fournier can come off the bench as their 6th man. He can also start now and again for the Celtics. And the fact they got all that just for 2 second-round picks, phenomenal deal from Danny Ainge and the Boston Celtics. Very good deal for them. And he's also a free agent this summer, so he's on a $17 million salary. It's a big contract, but it runs out this season. So in reality, it's not like the Celtics are locking themselves in cap space because it's an expiring deal. So brilliant deal all around for the Celtics. I definitely give that an A. The Boston Celtics. We got a report just before I started the stream. Actually, Brian Windhorst reported that on First Take that he's hearing that the Clippers have had talks about acquiring point guard Rajon Rondo from the Atlanta Hawks. Obviously, Rondo won the NBA championship last season with the Los Angeles Lakers. Signed a 2-year deal with the Hawks with the backup to Trae Young. He was seen to be more of Trae Young's mentor. But yeah, if the Clippers can acquire Rondo, I think for maybe a couple of second-round picks and a rotational player, I think the Clippers should do it because the one thing the Clippers lack is that point guard that can facilitate the offense. We've seen late in games that Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, who really should be getting the ball in the post or on the perimeter, they should be having players run for them. They're always bringing the ball up the court and they're having to facilitate the play. But if the Clippers got a player like Rajon Rondo, although he's had his injury problems here and there, when it comes to playoff time, we've seen Rondo can be a very effective player for both the Lakers and the Celtics in his earlier days. So if the Clippers were to get Rondo, will be a very positive addition in my opinion, and I would definitely agree to it. But the Magic again, they got rid of Fournier, they got rid of Vucevic, they also got rid of Aaron Gordon, who requested a trade yesterday. Now, I literally said before this trade happened, about 5 minutes before the trade went down, I said I can't see Aaron Gordon getting traded. But he ends up getting traded to the Denver Nuggets. So the Nuggets got JaVale McGee, then got Aaron Gordon, and in return the Magic got Gary Harris, who's a pretty good, rotational shooting guard, can possibly start. Well, he probably will start for the Magic now. But they also got RJ Hampton, the rookie guard, who played most of his college ball in Australia. He was a first-round pick this year by the Nuggets. I think that was a very good by the Magic to get hold of him. Obviously, they've got Markelle Fultz, but he had that bad injury. I think RJ Hampton can definitely be, moulded into that future point guard for them because he's already shown flashes this season for the Nuggets. He's going to be a pretty good player. And I think with him getting more game time with the Orlando Magic, I think it's a very, very good deal for the Magic to bring him on board. And they also got a protected 2025 first-round pick. So far today, the Magic got 3 first-round picks. They got RJ Hampton, Gary Harris, and Wendell Carter Jr. So they got another young big man there, Wendell Carter Jr. So the Magic they're losing some big players that have been with the franchise for many years. But in my opinion, it's the right thing to do. The second from bottom in the Eastern Conference, they're going absolutely nowhere. So what they've managed to do, they've managed to get in a flurry of picks. They've managed to get in some more young players. I think it's fair to say overall it's been a positive trade deadline for the Orlando Magic. We're looking to rebuild for the future. Another small trade that happened earlier on, the Bulls and Wizards swapped centers and small forwards. The Bulls sent Daniel Gafford, the young center, and Chandler Hutchison, the former first-round pick small forward out of Boise State. They sent both of them to the Washington Wizards in exchange for Troy Brown Jr. and Moritz Wagner. So Wagner, I think Wagner, Brown, and Hutchison were all in the same draft class, 2018, I believe. They're all first-round picks. So the Bulls getting the big man Wagner who can space the floor, and Troy Brown's a good, a good player to have in your rotation at small forward and play a bit of guard as well maybe. But in return, the Wizards get Daniel Gafford, who's still a young centre, and Hutchison, who's still a pretty young small forward. So it's kind of an interesting trade this for me because both teams are getting a new big man and both teams are getting a new forward, and all 4 players are still relatively young. So again, it's a positive trade for both teams. Maybe it was just a change of salaries or whatever, but other than that, I can't see that trade affecting anything long term. But maybe I can't see it affecting anything short term. But long term, it could have a big effect on both teams. Maybe if one of those players breaks out yet, I think Gafford, Hutchison, and Troy Brown will still wait for them to break out. But it's likely that won't happen now. But you never know. Some players are late bloomers. The Kings, who acquired Delon Wright, they traded away Bielitsa to the Miami Heat not so long ago. He had a career. He'd been averaging a career low 16.9 minutes per game with the Kings this season. That's what Ward just said. And in return, Miami sent Maurice Harkless, who spent most of his time with the Trailblazers and Clippers. He's a pretty good two-way 3-and-D small forward, Maurice Harkless. So I think he could be definitely a good addition to the Kings side. And also Chris Silver, the young power forward. So in return, the Kings get two players. One of them is kind of more of a veteran, one of them is more of a young player. And in return for that, the Heat get a big man in Bielitsa who can space the floor. He can hit threes. 3-point shooting is a premium in the NBA. If you've got a player that can shoot a 3, instantly they are a useful piece to your team. So Bielitsa, I think it was a very good trade for the Heat to get hold of him. This one happened, as you can see when these came in, it was like 10 minutes. We got 3 trades, and I was struggling to keep up with them all. But I'm talking through them right now. The Philadelphia 76ers, they acquired guard George Hill, who spent last season with the Milwaukee Bucks. This year was on the Thunder, only played about 14, 15 games, wasn't seen much in the rotation. The Thunder, again, a team that are looking to rebuild for the future, build the team around former Clippers guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But they got George Hill, and it was part of a 3-team trade. So in return, the Philadelphia 76ers acquired George Hill and New York Knicks forward Ignaz Brazdeikis. The other 2 teams involved in the 3-team trade were the Thunder and obviously the New York Knicks. The Thunder got Austin Rivers and Tony Bradley and 2 future second-round picks. And the Knicks got Terrence Ferguson and it freed up a roster spot for the Knicks. So although the Knicks only got 1 player, that free roster spot means they can go into the buyout market after the deadline and maybe pick up a free agent. Maybe an Andrew Drummond, for example, who could be bought out by the Cleveland Cavaliers. Maybe the Knicks can bring him in as a possible buyout free agent. And literally a minute later, the Raptors, who's got Norman Powell, guard of the Raptors, he was in a lot of trade talks. There's a lot of teams inquiring about him. He's ended up going to the Portland Trailblazers in exchange for Gary Trent Jr. and Rodney Hood. So again, the Trailblazers, who were in that 6th position in the Western Conference, looking to get into the playoffs. Damian Lillard and TJ McCollum kind of carrying that team. Nurkic wasn't, coming off that injury, wasn't, up to full speed. But I think with them getting, a player like Norman Powell, who's, a good 3-and-D player, he's won a championship with the Raptors. He's shown that he can be pretty good in clutch moments. I think it's a good trade for the Trailblazers. But also even the Raptors get Gary Trent Jr. is not a bad player, and Rodney Hood, who's also an experienced forward that can also shoot the three pretty effectively. So both teams did pretty well here. But the Raptors, again, looking to rebuild more. They got rid of a veteran Norman Powell, shipped him off to the Portland Trailblazers. And other than that, that's kind of the latest deal that we've had. It was reported by Bobby Marks that after getting 2 second-round picks in the deal with the Knicks, the Oklahoma City Thunder now have 34 draft picks over the next 7 drafts, 17 each in the first and second round. So the Thunder are absolutely stacked on first-round picks. I mean, you could say they're going to use all them picks. They're going to use all them picks to draft players. But let's say in 2 or 3 years' time, if the Thunder get like a superstar player in the draft, and he turns to be a fantastic player, maybe the Thunder can trade some of those picks to get a star player and pair with that rookie that they have. The Thunder have so many options going into the future. Yes, right now the present day for the Thunder is looking pretty bleak. Gilgeous-Alexander just suffered that injury. The squad's not doing pretty well. They're not going to compete for anything in the near future. But long term down the road, it's looking very, very bright for the Oklahoma City Thunder, without a doubt. But those are all the deals that have happened today, pretty much. We've still got a few more rumors. Kyle Lowry is still rumored. Lonzo Ball is still in the rumors. Oladipo. So a lot of players that could be traded before the deadline. And I believe we've still got about 2 hours and 15 minutes until the deadline closes. I'm going to be streaming till about 6:30. I think that's what time I'm going to end the stream. Because obviously at 7 o'clock we've got the UCL Sim tournament draw. So I'll talk you through that right quick, just after I've checked if there's any more NBA news going down. But again, like I said, there's more NFL news so far, which is crazy because it's an NBA stream, but so far the NFL's been more active. So who would have thought that? But obviously there was news of the Dallas Cowboys that Tyron Crawford is retiring. Obviously I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. If you wonder why there's so many Dallas Cowboys stuff coming up on my notifications, that's the reason why. But yeah, free agency still going on in the NFL. It is a trade deadline, however, though today. If you didn't already know, for the NBA, a lot of stuff going down. Again, those I've talked you through all the deals that have already happened, but it has gone pretty quiet. We had a lot of those deals come through in we had like 3 deals come through in 10 minutes, but it's gone very, very quiet now. But while I've got a bit of a break, I'll talk through our Twitter page as well. Obviously, if you don't follow it, it's at @_topcorner. We update you on the videos that are going to be uploaded, the streams that are going to be uploaded. You can find out everything on this Twitter page. We've also got a YouTube link there. But if you're watching this video, you obviously wouldn't need that link because you've managed to find it. You managed to find the channel. The Twitter page, as I mentioned, is at @_topcorner. We've also got a website, thesports-corner.com, where we put up daily pieces covering many different sports. And the Instagram's pretty similar to the Twitter. It's the _topcorner_ where we update you on the posts. We update you on the streams that are coming up and the videos that are coming up on the channel. But in terms of, this is what I wanted to talk about, the FIFA 21 UCL Sim tournament, which is happening tonight at 7 p.m. So obviously we managed to collect 32 players. For people that tune in on the channel, we put in the chat, if you want to join the UCL tournament, make sure you put your name in the comments. We've managed to fill up all 32 spots. So tonight at 7 p.m. is the draw. Basically all the 32 players participant will find out what teams that they're going to be using in the sim. Again, like I said, it is a sim tournament. You don't need FIFA to play it. You're basically going to be spun on a wheel. You're going to be given a random team. It's going to be one of the teams from this season's UCL tournament when the tournament started. So, a team like Shakhtar Donetsk, who started in the Champions League, ultimately fell into the Europa League. They will be in this tournament because they started this season in the Champions League. So you could get Shakhtar, you could get Istanbul Başakşehir, but you can also get a Bayern Munich or a Liverpool. So, the teams that you get is completely random, and it's a sim tournament, so anything can happen. Even if you get the best team in the tournament, you're not guaranteed to win it. But with it being a sim, all you need to do is submit your team before each game. You can make in-game subs if you're watching the stream live, and it's basically just going to be across the weekend, Friday to Monday. Josh is going to be streaming it on YouTube. There's going to be prizes for first, second, and third. So make sure you do keep up to date because money is involved in it, there are some chances for yourself to win yourself some cash. So make sure you get on that tonight, 7 p.m. Find out what team you've got in the draw, and the games will kick off tomorrow night, I believe. Just going to give you more details on it, obviously, in tonight's stream. But that's what's coming up tonight on the Sports Corner YouTube channel, just after this trade deadline stream, which said I'm going to be doing it for about another 45 minutes or so, 40 minutes, because it's all gone quiet on the trade front in the NBA. Not much happening. I've already talked you through the deals that have already happened, but yeah, in terms of potential deals, not much happening. Adrian Wojnarowski's obviously been pretty busy today. He's the man to follow for the trade deals. I see if he's put anything else out here, but again, as you can see, the last deal that Woj reported was just under an hour ago, really. So again, we had a lot of deals coming in at once. But other than that, yeah, it's all gone a little bit quiet, fortunately. But hopefully we see it speed up towards the end of the trade deadline, which I think it will do. I think you'll see teams get a bit more desperate, and with the clock running down, you'll definitely see, a few more deals happening. But yeah, that is. I feel like I just want to keep talking, so I don't want to just have like a random silence. But there is not much to talk about at the minute. As I said, I've already talked you for all the deals that have already happened, but we finally have some updated news. Well, this is from quite a while back. Danny Green's agent has told him to expect a trade. The Warriors are interested in him. We'll see if the Warriors can get that done and bring in another shooter to their backcourt in Danny Green. But this is new news right here. 2 teams are bidding for Hassan Whiteside. That's according to Sheridan Hoops. So Hassan Whiteside, he was actually, I'll follow Chris Sheridan right now and do not to report that. As I mentioned, Hassan Whiteside is a possible buyout player that it could be released as a free agent and then maybe picked up by the Lakers, who are in big need of depth at the center position. But apparently 2 teams are bidding for Hassan Whiteside. So I don't know whether that means they're bidding in terms of a trade, whether they're bidding, whether it's already been like released and they're bidding, to give him a contract. I'm not too sure, 100% sure what that is. But Hassan Whiteside, it's looking like by the end of today he's going to be on a new team, and you'd probably think that's going to be a contender. I can't see him joining like a rebuilding set or anything like that. It makes no sense. Yeah, apparently Locked On Clippers said there's 1 more hour left. I believe there's 2 more hours actually. I don't think there's 1 more. I think there's 2 more hours left. Obviously, that's the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're stocking up on draft picks, 17 first-round picks over the next 17 years and 17 second-round picks. Absolutely crazy. I've never seen such a massive haul of draft picks at once. But Thunder, yeah, their future's looking pretty bright. But yeah, not much. Far bod, the Clippers reporter just put that he just woke up, so he'll be waking up to the news that the Clippers have not yet traded for anybody. But he will be seeing all these deals coming in, all these crazy deals that have happened so far on the trade deadline. But I've got a feeling it's far from over yet. 2 hours to go until the trade deadline. I think there'll still be a few more players to get traded away. It's just when does it happen? That's all. Kyle Lowry, does he get traded? Does he get bought out? Lonzo Ball, will he get traded? Will he stay on the Pelicans? There were rumors going around that Lonzo Ball was going to get traded no matter what. But as it stands, it's looking like he could be possibly staying on the New Orleans Pelicans. But we'll have to wait and see what happens with that, obviously, as time goes on. I'll have a look through more, see if there's any more news. Any more news coming in? Nothing from Shams or Woj. I'm waiting for another Woj one to drop. I mean, I've got a feeling with it being so quiet, I've got a feeling there's going to be there's a big deal in the works, maybe like a big 3-team trade or possibly a big 4-team trade. You just don't know. Because I think players like Lonzo Ball, I think he will get traded today. It's just a matter of who gets him. Like I said, it could be a massive 3-team trade happening right now. You just never know. Bradley Beal has obviously been teasing the fans today by putting. What did he put again, Bradley Beal? Let me double check what he actually put, because I think he put something and all of a sudden. Bradley Beal, there we go. He put out the tweet a couple of hours ago, I think it is now. He put, "Here we go," 1 hour ago. So Whether that's implying he could be traded, whether that's implying he's getting ready to go to a new team, whatever it means, it's a cryptic tweet. He's definitely trying to imply something, because if nothing was going to happen, I don't think he'd put that tweet. I don't think he'd tweet that. So I think something could definitely happen. Monte Morris has put tough day, man. I think this is after the Nuggets have traded away, players like Gary Harris, who was, Gary Harris was a well-respected player in that Nuggets locker room. They traded away RJ Hampton. And I think Jamal Murray also put a sad face as well. They're most not happy about trading RJ Hampton. Obviously they did get Aaron Gordon in return, but RJ Hampton could probably could be a star player in the future. And it seems like Monte Morris and Jamal Murray are not very happy with the trade. But maybe when they see Aaron Gordon come into the lineup and make an impact, there is a possibility that they might change their mind. They might actually be happy with acquiring Aaron Gordon. But yeah, so far, not much on the front. Obviously, we had a load of trades come in about an hour ago, but since then it's gone a bit quiet and a bit dry. So hopefully we have something pretty soon, because I'm struggling to actually talk about things now, because I'm just kind of saying the same stuff over and over. Yeah, still no news. Still no new news on potential trades. I'm going to be here for about another half an hour. Obviously, it doesn't close till like 8 o'clock. Closed at 8 o'clock tonight, the trade deadline. But I'm going to be here till like 6:30, maybe 22, because obviously Josh is streaming his UCL tournament tonight. So obviously, I don't want to go. I don't want to interfere with that. So I'll probably be ending it in about half an hour's time. But hopefully, we get some more deals coming through before that, because we had a big stretch where we had a load of deals coming in. We got like 3 deals in 10 minutes, but it's gone dry for about the past hour or so. Farbod and Nasiri Clippers reporters, but interested to see the easiest option for the Clippers, and George Hill is gone. I fully expect Oladipo to get moved, and likely Kyle Lowry. This will be stressful hour to see who patches the most. Yeah, it's one of them. The Clippers, without a doubt, they would have had interest in George Hill. Even Brian Windows reported it himself on ESPN First Take. Watch out for the Clippers possibly being a target for George Hill, and with what the 76ers gave up for George Hill, didn't give up a right lot for him. They got him pretty cheap, so I think the Clippers could definitely be in on it if they wanted, but they obviously didn't want him. And Oladipo, again, another player that's in trade talks. Kyle Lowry. I think the Heat are going to end up getting Kyle Lowry, but so far we haven't heard anything on Kyle Lowry for at least a good couple of hours now. It's going to be quiet on Kyle Lowry. It's because Norman Powell, the new addition to the Barton Trailblazers, says he's one of 24 players to put 43 plus points in a game this season. So Norman Powell, he's definitely got the ability, like it says there, to go off. He's a very good 3-point scorer, pretty decent defender, good 2-way player for the Trailblazers. It was a very nice pickup for the Trailblazers. I think it's one of the most underrated moves of the day in getting Norman Powell. Fair play to the Trailblazers for helping out Damian Lillard as well. Let's have a look at the Kyle Lowry. Is there any more news on the Kyle Lowry trade? The latest news, but again, there's not much to report on. Obviously, it says there, look, these were most of the players that were involved in trade discussions, Victor Oladipo still not found the new team. Lonzo Ball, Lowry, John Collins was even a name mentioned earlier on in the week about possibly being traded. Andre Drummond, another player who's probably going to end up getting released and put in the buyout market. We'll have to wait and see what happens with him, obviously. This was reported 4 hours ago that the teams are seriously engaged in a trade for Kyle Lowry, the Lakers, the Sixers, and the Heat. But with the Sixers getting George Hill, they're now officially out of that. So it's between the Heat and the Lakers. But again, the Lakers are not willing to trade Taylor Horton Tucker, so they're not willing to trade one of their better young players. Will the Raptors take the deal on? That's why I think the Heat are the best option for Kyle Lowry. They're probably going to end up being able to give the best package for him. Duncan Robinson probably in that package, so I think the Heat probably the main team trade for Kyle Lowry. But again, we've not heard anything for a while now on Kyle Lowry. He was the biggest name coming into the day, but he's still awaits to know about his future. So as of right now, he's still on the Raptors. I mean, NBA Central said there's 1 more hour to go. So I think it actually shuts at 7 o'clock, not 8 o'clock. Which I thought it was 8 o'clock, but it sounds like it's 7 p.m. the trade deadline. Have we got anything new? Tom Atzela's put, I think the Clippers should go all in on Kyle Lowry. I can't agree at this point. Lawrence Funk is basically cutting the rotation. It's too expensive. Yeah, well, I agree. I think I obviously love to have Kyle Lowry on the Clippers. It would be a fantastic addition, but for what you'd have to give up for him, is it really worth it? You're going to have to give up maybe Luke Kennard and Marcus Morris. And I understand that, Kyle Lowry could be the missed piece for the Clippers. He's a leader. He's a point guard. It's what we need to facilitate the offense. But what can we really give for him? So yeah, with it being the last hour now, I think we should expect to see a lot more trades go through now. Teams are going to be, if they're going to make a trade, they need to make it right now. There's 1 hour left in a deadline. So not long to go at all, but we shall wait and see. There's still some big names that have not been moved. Lonzo Ball, Kyle Lowry, John Collins, Andre Drummond probably going to end up getting bought out. There's a lot of players left that are apparently on trade block that have not been traded. So we're now in the final hour. We'll see where everybody ends up. I'll see if see what teams can make a move. Yeah, 1 hour to go in the deadline. Just going through to see if there's any more news. Shams put a tweet out, but it wasn't anything to do with a live trade or anything like that. We're just kind of updating on one of his podcasts, so it wasn't any brand new news. But yeah, we'll wait and see if there's anything else. Any more news to come through. Sam Amico put this 5 minutes ago. 2 teams bidding for Sam Whiteside, but Kings not opposed to keeping him. That's plus more NBA talk, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, as I mentioned, we saw this report earlier that 2 teams are bidding for Sam Whiteside, the centre from the Sacramento Kings. Again, the Kings right now currently sit 12th in the Western Conference, so they're a few games back out of that possible playing tournament. And I think Hassan Whiteside could definitely be a contributor to many playoff teams. He's a big man that I think the Lakers could be interested in if they don't get Andre Drummond. And it says here that 2 teams are bidding for him, but those 2 teams have not yet been revealed. Which, as I said, we saw the report a while ago. But Sam Amico has now put that on 5 minutes ago. There's no update on who the 2 teams are, but it's looking like Hassan Whiteside could be a player that ends up on a new team before the deadline ends, which is only an hour away. Fireball's put the names down there that we're waiting to see get traded, possibly. Lowry, Oladipo, LaMarcus, Lonzo, Drummond, and potentially Rubio. Someone put Dinwiddie in the comments. There's a lot of players, that could still definitely get traded. A lot of players that are going to end up on a new team. But again, it's Oladipo. I think Oladipo is one of the harder players where he could go. I don't know who would be interested in. Lowry, they've got the Lakers and the Heat. If they're willing to make a move, like Aldridge maybe could get bought by the Spurs. Lonzo's been in trade talks with everybody. Drummond, possibly a buyout candidate. Rubio, again, the point guard. I think did he get traded to the Thunder maybe? But again, a lot of players that I'm sure our teams will still want to trade for. And this is some big news. We've actually got two big pieces of big news just come through at the same minute. What did I say? Nothing for an hour, but then we've got two big pieces of news at once. The first one is this. According to Shams, Kyle Lowry's preferred spot as of now is the Miami Heat. So I mentioned the Heat probably they've got the most assets or the most realistic landing spot for Kyle Lowry, and apparently it's now his preferred landing spot out of any team. So if Kyle Lowry wants to get traded, looking like the Heat are going to be the main team to get him. And I heard a report earlier saying if the Raptors are going to trade Kyle Lowry, they're going to trade him to the team he wants to go to. So if Kyle Lowry wants to go to the Heat and the Heat can make it work, we could possibly see Kyle Lowry as a player in the Miami Heat before the trade deadline. Just going to refresh right quick. But here it is. Legion Hoops have just said this via Shams. Lakers, well, these are the two things holding up the Kyle Lowry trade via Shams. The Lakers will not include Taylor Horton-Tucker in their trade, and the Heat will include Tyler Herro. So the Lakers, as I mentioned, Taylor Horton-Tucker took a big step forward for the Lakers this season. Still a very young player and got a lot of potential. But with the Lakers being where they are, with LeBron James being injured, with Anthony Davis being injured, and with other teams in the West adding to their rosters, the Lakers bite the bullet and trade Taylor Horton-Tucker for Kyle Lowry because LeBron James is coming in. He's late in his career now. LeBron James, probably, I don't know how many years he's got left in the league. But if you're going to win a championship, you've probably got a better chance of winning one right now if you've got Kyle Lowry in your roster over Taylor Horton-Tucker. We'll have to wait and see what they do. But as of right now, the Lakers not willing to move on from Taylor Horton-Tucker. And in terms of the Heat, they will include Tyler Herro in the deal. And Tyler Herro was obviously a first-round pick last year. And in his rookie year last season, helped the Heat get to the NBA Finals, was phenomenal in the playoffs. And he was definitely a player that raised his stock in the bubble. He was phenomenal for the Heat. And it looks like the Raptors, if they're gonna trade away Kyle Lowry, they want Tyler Herro in return. And I thought Duncan Robinson would have been enough to get the trade done, but it looks like they want Tyler Herro, and the Heat are refusing to put Tyler Herro in the trade deal. And if I was the Heat, Tyler Herro, I'd probably look to keep hold on to him. But the Lakers hold on to Taylor Horton-Tucker, which is if the Lakers, if the real reason why the trade isn't going down for the Lakers is that it's due to Taylor Horton-Tucker, I think some Lakers fans will be pretty annoyed because Kyle Lowry is a player that, if you want to win right now, you get Kyle Lowry in as your point guard. It makes too much sense for the Lakers, really. But then a report that I skipped over that we saw a couple of minutes ago, the Knicks have remained engaged with the New Orleans Pelicans regarding a potential Lonzo Ball trade. That's according to Ian Begley. We just had a trade go down, according to Woj. But yeah, the Knicks, as I mentioned, they were a landing spot for Lonzo Ball, and they have remained in trade talks with New Orleans Pelicans regarding a trade for him. So we'll have to wait and see as we approach the final hour here. We'll have 50 minutes to go. If anything does happen with Lonzo Ball, I think we should have trade through somewhere from Major Mojinowski, but I saw some more rumours at the top here. It says here, according to Shams, the Lakers currently have offering a package centred around Dennis Schroeder and KCP for Kyle Lowry. The Heat trade package centred around Duncan Robinson. As I said, Duncan Robinson is that main piece that the Heat are offering, but it looks like the Raptors want Tyler Herro instead. And in terms of the Lakers, they're offering Dennis Schroeder, who they acquired in the offseason, and KCP, so two very good role players. But it looks like the Raptors want Schroeder, KCP, and Taylor Horton-Tucker. So these deals could be very, very close to happening, but both the Lakers and the Heat are both stalling on the trade because they don't want to give up Herro and Taylor Horton-Tucker. Joey Lynn's put, Shams did not mention the Clippers as one of the two teams seriously engaged in trade talks for Kyle Lowry. He said it's the Lakers and Miami right now. The Clippers would have to gut their roster and they still wouldn't have the best package. I don't see it happening. I agree. I think the Kyle Lowry deal for the Clippers is pretty much dead. We heard rumours earlier on that the Clippers wanted to get Rajon Rondo. He could be a possible trade. But yeah, as we've seen there, according to the Athletic, the Lakers offered Dennis Schroeder and KCP for Kyle Lowry. Not a bad package for the Raptors, but I think they obviously want that young player in Taylor Horton-Tucker, and the Lakers are just unwilling to give him up. Apparently, there's been a trade. The Raptors have traded Matt Thomas to Utah for a second-round pick, according to Woj ESPN. And the big reason why that is, it's not because Matt Thomas is a phenomenal player. It's because it opens up that roster spot. So the Raptors have traded away Matt Thomas. I believe he's a shooting guard, point guard, maybe. He's been traded to the Raptors for a second-round pick, pretty much nothing. But that opens up a roster spot for the Raptors, which could mean if there is a trade on the way. Another update from Shams, which could mean if there is a trade on the way for the Raptors. Where they could trade Kyle Lowry for 3 players, it opens up that roster spot, so it makes a trade easier for any other team. So, with Kyle Lowry's salary being so big, it's so hard to match it. Teams like the Lakers, who are hard capped, they have to match that $30 million, which means that's for more than one player. So with the Raptors opening up that roster spot, it means the Lakers can throw in 2 or 3 players, and the Raptors can also take on all those players' contracts, if that makes sense. So even that's a small trade, Matt Thomas to Utah for a second-round pick, it opens up that roster spot, which is big implications for the Toronto Raptors. As we mentioned, the Raptors are seriously engaged in trade talks with the Lakers and the Heat. And the Raptors want Taylor Horton from the Lakers or Tyler Herro in each trade package, but it looks like both teams are stalling because they don't want to give up either player. And Farboard's put, we'll be interested to see if the Heat acquire Will Mark Aldridge and Kyle Lowry. It's definitely heating up. It really is heating up here. Nathan's put, good evening, sir. Good evening, Nathan. Make sure you join for the UCL Sim tournament stream, which is at 7 p.m. So I'm gonna end this stream about quarter to half past, and then 7 o'clock the UCL stream will be up and running. See what team you get. I mean, knowing you're lucky, you'll end up with someone like Bayern Munich, like I mentioned last night, but you never know. It is a sim as well, so anything can happen. But yeah, as Legend Hoops has put here that the Heat have offered Duncan Robinson in a trade package for Kyle Lowry, so the Raptors, they don't want Duncan Robinson, they do want obviously Tyler Herro, which the Heat are unwilling to do. So as of right now, both teams are at an impasse, and nothing's going to happen. But yeah, that was a bit of news there that just kind of exploded out of nowhere. Shams Karani is saying that the Lakers and the Heat are both looking to get Kyle Lowry in. Tweeted there by NBA 2K My Team. Not too sure what it is. Got a tweet from Woj, I think. Let's have a look. So yeah, as Wojnarowski says there, the Matt Thomas deal to Utah. Matt Thomas not a well-known player, but the deal opens a roster spot taking additional players in the Lowry trade. Raptors continue talking to teams on deals within 45 minutes of the deadline. Thomas gives the chance another player and an endless line of 3-point shooters on the team. So yeah, as I just mentioned, it opens up a roster spot. And with only 45 minutes to go until the trade deadline, you'd think that if a deal was going to happen, it was going to happen imminently. But as of right now, unless the Lakers give up THT and the Raptors give up, the Heat give up Tyler Herro, it's looking like Kyle Lowry could probably stay with the Raptors because the Raptors are not going to let him go for pretty much nothing. That's what it's looking like anyway. But in terms of other trade deals, I've not seen anything on Oladipo. We saw that the Knicks are still interested in Lonzo Ball, but nothing major's happening there. But yeah, there's still many dominoes to fall until the deadline approaches. We'll see what actually happens. Just constantly refreshing the Twitter, see if anything new comes up. As I was saying earlier on, straight after the stream is done, I'm going to end it about like I said, about quarter past, around that time. I don't want to go all the way to 7 o'clock because obviously I know the deadline is at 7 o'clock. But tonight at 7 p.m. on the channel, we've got the FIFA 21 UCL tournament sim draw. So 32 players taking part in the sim. And obviously, if you are taking part, you're going to find out what team you've got another notification there from Ward, but it was the same thing. So if you are taking part, you're going to find out what team you've got. Basically, it's going to be your team's going to be decided by a wheel spin. So your name's going to be on a wheel, and whatever team that lands on is what team you're going to manage. It's a sim, like I said. So you're not going to be, you don't need an Xbox or anything like that. You're not going to be playing FIFA. You're basically just going to be managing your team's formation, making in-game subs in the streams, and yeah, basically it's going to be sim. That's it really. Come tonight at 7 p.m. To find out what team you've got, and it's going to be over Friday to Monday, I think Josh said. So there's going to be the round of 16 on Friday, the quarterfinals on the Saturday, the semi-finals on the Sunday, and then the finals going to be on the Monday. We're also going to have a third place playoff. I know there's no third place playoff in the Champions League usually, but to make up for it, because it is like it's a knockout tournament. There's no group stage; it's just a knockout tournament. So there's prizes for first, second, and third. There's prize money for those positions. So make sure you keep updated, because there is money up for grabs if you do pretty well. So yeah, 7 p.m. tonight. Find out what team you've got. It will definitely be a good stream. No matter what team you get, remember that it is just a sim, so anything can happen. I mentioned last year we did a Euro one. I got Israel. Somehow finished third. Beat the likes of Spain, Austria, Croatia. So anything can happen with it being a sim. So if you get a team that you don't really want, don't just instantly rage quit. Try and manage the team and try and take them further in the competition, because it's just a bit of fun really over the weekend with it being an international break. There's no European football on, so it's a bit of fun over the weekend, and there's money up for grabs as well. So make sure you stay tuned for that coming up right after this stream. The Athletic literally just reported 27 seconds ago. There it is. The Raptors still remain engaged with the Heat and Lakers, as I mentioned. It's basically just Tyler Hero and Taylor Horton-Tucker. They're holding the deals up because the Lakers and Heat don't want to trade them players. So as of right now, Kyle Lowry is staying a Raptor unless the Lakers or Heat budge and change their mind. The Warriors, again, as I mentioned earlier, this is a tweet from quite a while ago. They said that they've engaged in trade talks with Philadelphia's Danny Green. Another shooter for the Warriors. Not like they've got enough already, but the Warriors can get him in. He's an experienced player that's been in the playoffs. So why not for the Warriors if they can get him for like a cheap, maybe a late round pick, or maybe a cheap role player. But yeah, Shams explaining it here. We'll get Shams on to explain it.
Future of Kyle Lowry. The Raptors, I'm told, are seriously engaged with the Los Angeles Lakers and the Miami Heat on a trade to move Kyle Lowry out. The Lakers right now, I'm told, are offering a package around Dennis Schroeder and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. But again, this is subject to moving parts as well. Miami's offering a package that's believed to be headlined by Duncan Robinson. But the holdup, I'm told, on both teams is the inclusion of Taylor Horton-Tucker from the Lakers and Tyler Hero from the Miami Heat. The Raptors clearly want one of those young guards who have bright futures. Taylor Horton-Tucker is going to be a significant player, and he's going to be up for a contract this summer, a significant contract. So the Raptors are trying to see who's going to come up with the best offer. I'm told Lowry's preferred spot right now is the Miami Heat. There's an hour left here before the trade deadline ends.
So Shams there, just going through what I've said about 3 times now. But basically, it's literally just Kyle Lowry and Taylor Horton-Tucker holding the deals up. Holding the deals up for both sides, really. If one of the teams does fold, Trevor Lane's also reporting this, that the Raptors are seriously engaged in trade talks. It really does seem like it's legit. That it literally just is Taylor Horton-Tucker and Tyler Hero holding the deals up for both teams. So, if it's gonna, like I say, if it's gonna happen, if Kyle Lowry does get traded, it's gonna happen in the next 20 minutes, in the next 40 minutes or so. So, if the Lakers and Heat need to make their mind up pretty quickly whether they're gonna trade Kyle Lowry or not. But in terms of deals, I've already gone through most of the deals today, but I'll go through them again in case you missed any. So the first deal that happened was yesterday. The Pistons traded away Dylan Wright to the Sacramento Kings for Corey Joseph and 2 second-round picks. Again, it was a more smaller deal. The Pistons rebuilding. They got those 2 extra second-round picks and they swapped guys with Corey Joseph and Dylan Wright. Nothing major. It was the first trade of the deadline, pretty much. The Denver Nuggets, they're acquiring center JaVale McGee from the Cleveland Cavaliers. But Isaiah Hartenstein and 2 second-round picks. So in the Nuggets, they already were in last year's playoffs, I know, especially against my Clippers, they dominated in the inside with Jokic. And now they've got another big piece to put on the front court in JaVale McGee. McGee, who spent most of his career with the Warriors and Lakers in recent times, he's shown they can be a good interior defender with his athleticism, and also pretty decent on the offensive side with like lobs and stuff like that. So JaVale McGee, a nice addition for the Denver Nuggets, and they basically have 2 second-round picks for him, nothing major, and a good addition there for the Nuggets who are looking to compete in the playoffs in the West. The biggest trade I have in terms of like player movement is without doubt Nicola Goosevich, the All-Star center, who got traded to the Chicago Bulls along with Al-Farouq Aminu in exchange for Otto Porter Jr. and Wendell Carter Jr., along with 2 first-round picks in 2021 and 2023, with one of them being protected. So, the Bulls, they wanted to come out of the trade deadline with a star player, and they definitely got that in Nicola Goosevich. He made the All-Star team this year. They're pairing with they're pairing with Zach LaVine, who made the All-Star team this year. So the Bulls, 10th in the East, looking to compete in the playoffs. They had a star player. They gave up quite a bit for him, in my opinion. The 2 first-round picks is quite a hefty price. But with Vucevic, you know what you're getting. He's still pretty young. And a nice deal for the Bulls there. As they look to, try and get a bit more relevant in the NBA because they haven't been for too long now. And the Magic, they're second bottom of the Eastern Conference. They get the 2 first-round picks. They get the young player Wendell Carter Jr. They had absolutely building for the future, and that was proven. About half an hour later because they traded away Evan Fournier to the Boston Celtics for only 2 second-round picks. The Celtics are another team that have needed much more depth coming off the bench. They've obviously got Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, who were 2 very good players for them, and they're going to be very good players for a long time. But they needed to get somebody else in. Off the bench, to help scoring. So I think with them getting Evan Fournier off the bench, he's shown he's got 20 points this season so far with the Magic. He can hit a 3. He's an instant bucket, really. And for 2 second-round picks, you can't go wrong. And the Celtics can afford it because of the trade exception they got from Gordon Hayward in the offseason. So really nice deal for the Celtics. ESPN's Brian Windhorst reported as well that the Clippers and Hawks had talked about Rajon Rondo. Rondo won the championship last year with the Lakers. Obviously, was very good in the playoffs. Signed a 2-year deal, I think it is 2-year deal, yeah, with the Hawks in the offseason. And he's now being, apparently the Clippers and Hawks are in talks. The Clippers do need a point guard without a doubt. They need someone to facilitate the offense. And as I was talking about this move, literally just as I've moved on to the Rajon Rondo news, I think Shams has just reported on Twitter. He says here, yeah. There we go. Shams Karania, 1 minute ago. Hawks and Clippers are in serious talks on a deal to send Rajon Rondo to LA. So I'm just getting loads of notifications on my phone, by the way. That's why I'm checking it. So yeah, Shams Karania has reported that the Clippers and Hawks are in serious talks to send Rajon Rondo to LA. I mentioned it earlier. I think if the Clippers were going to get Rondo, it was probably going to be like a smaller, late round pick and maybe a role player. But again, Hoops Central also reporting they're in serious talks. It's already updated there. Wait and see if there's any more updates on it. Saw something else. Legion Hoops have just put this on. The Hawks and Clippers are finalising a deal to send Rondo to the Clippers via the Athletic, which obviously is where Shams works. So if the Clippers can get Rajon Rondo, really nice deal for them. I mean, I'm very interested to see though what the compensation would be for Rajon Rondo. We will come back to it though. Although we've got another update here from Wojnarowski, I think it is. Yeah, the Hawks and Clippers have been discussing a trade for Rajon Rondo. Source today has been 40 minutes left until the deadline now. So, the Clippers and Hawks, Windhorst reported it many hours ago that they've been in conversations, and it's looking like now they're in serious discussions, according to Shams, if they're going to acquire Rajon Rondo. I mean, look, there's some Clippers fans are putting, I don't understand why, but the Clippers were never going to acquire Kyle Lowry. They were probably never going to get Lonzo Ball because they just don't have the conversation. They missed out on George Hill. Who else is there really to get? They need a point guard. Rajon Rondo's a leader. I like the move for the Clippers if they can get him in because he was a target for them in the offseason. They missed out on him to the Hawks. As you can see there, Bleacher Report have just put they're in serious talks with the Hawks to acquire Rondo. So it is absolutely blowing up now on Twitter. Like I said, with the trade line fastly approaching, talks on certain trades are going to speed up a bit more now. But we'll go back to the trades that have already happened before I got distracted by the Rondo news. The Magic traded away another star player. Not only did they trade away Vucevic and Fournier, they also got rid of Aaron Gordon, who got traded to the Denver Nuggets. So the Denver Nuggets making moves. They acquired JaVale McGee earlier on. They've now got Aaron Gordon. In return, they gave Gary Harris, rookie point guard RJ Hampton, who was a first-round pick this year, and has shown some flashes that he could be a pretty good player, and a 2025 first-round pick that is protected, I believe. So the Orlando Magic so far they've traded away Aaron Gordon, Evan Fournier, and Nicola Goosevich. They've managed to bag themselves 3 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks. They've got a young players in RJ Hampton and Wendell Carter Jr. They've done very, very well for themselves, I think, the Magic. They were second bottom of the Eastern Conference, going absolutely nowhere. A rebuild was needed. And they've now got a very young core with a lot of draft picks. I think if you're an Orlando Magic fan, you've got to be pretty happy. And also, if you're a Denver Nuggets fan, you've got to be pretty happy. You've added JaVale McGee and Aaron Gordon. 2 good players for a team that is competing in the Western Conference. Another smaller deal that involved the Bulls was them sending Daniel Gafford and Chandler Hutchinson, who were both first-round picks, I believe. They got sent to the Washington Wizards in exchange for Troy Brown Jr. and Moritz Wagner. So again, I think all 4 of those players were first-round picks, 3 of them in 2018. So again, the Bulls and Washington Wizards just kind of swapping big men and small forwards there in a smaller trade. But again, I didn't see a huge point behind it. But both teams just swap players, and it's not bad for both sides. The Kings, who also got the Dylan Wright from the Pistons earlier on yesterday. They traded away one of their centers in Nemanja Bjelica, and it says here that he'd been averaging a career low 16.9 minutes per game for the Kings this season. He got traded to the Miami Heat in exchange for Maurice Harkless and Chris Silver. So Bjelica, he's known as a center that can space the floor. He's a good 3-point shooter. I think with the Heat losing Myles Leonard, they definitely need to refill that void with a big man that can space the floor, and Bjelica can definitely be that man. And in return, they send Maurice Harkless, who's a good 3-and-D player on the outside, and also Chris Silver, the young power forward. So, overall, the Heat, they get rid of 2 rotation players and add a player in Bjelica, who's probably going to have a bigger impact on the team. We then had our first 3-team trade of the day. I believe, it was a 3-team trade. The Philadelphia 76ers acquired Oklahoma City point guard George Hill and New York Knicks forward Ignaz Brednakis in a 3-team trade. Also involved in this trade was obviously the Thunder and the Knicks. The Thunder got Austin Rivers, Tony Bradley, and 2 second-round picks. And the Knicks, they got Terrence Ferguson via the Oklahoma City Thunder, and also an open roster spot. So the Knicks, with that open roster spot, I would expect them to go into the buyout market and maybe see if they can get maybe an Andrew Drummond or a Hassan Whiteside, because I think they were after a big man to pair with Julius Randle. So with the Knicks opening up that roster spot, it made sense for them because they will be looking into the buyout market. And the Thunder, they got rid of an older point guard that wasn't playing for them in George Hill. They got Austin Rivers on a cheap 3-year deal, and they got 2 future second-round picks. And the Thunder now have 34 picks over the next 7 drafts, 17 first-rounders and 17 second-rounders. They are absolutely stacked up on picks. And they added 2 more second-round picks in that 3-team trade there. So, all 3 teams there winning. There's some nice trades for all 3 of them. And then the last trade that will officially happen, we've got a load more trades in the pipeline, but the last trade that officially happened was the Toronto Raptors sending Norman Powell to the Portland Trail Blazers in exchange for Gary Trent Jr. and Rodney Hood. So Norman Powell was a name that has been in discussion now for the past week. A lot of teams were interested in trading for him. He ends up on the Portland Trail Blazers. He's a good 3-and-D player, pretty athletic player, so he helps him defensively. And he can also hit a 3 if needed. And in return, the Raptors get Gary Trent Jr. and Rodney Hood. The Raptors at this point probably rebuilding, but they get 2 nice, rotational pieces there. Rodney Hood, again, a very high percentage 3-point shooter, was pretty good for the Trailblazers in the playoffs a few seasons ago. So a decent trade for both sides there. And Norman Powell, I expect him to be traded, and he eventually did get traded. And I'm sure Damian Lillard will be happy that they got a new player in their backcourt before the trade deadline happened. But I'm going to refresh the Twitter now because I think we're going to get the last few deals coming in. We are now only 30 minutes from the deadline. I thought the deadline was 8 p.m. It's actually at 7 p.m. So half an hour to go. I'm just having a look to see if there's any more news on the Rajon Rondo trade to the Clippers. So as I see, the Hawks and Clippers have been discussing the trade, obviously reported by Woj. Bobby Marks said that Rondo has a $7.5 million contract and LAC is $2.6 million below the hard cap, which I believe means the Clippers would have to find $5 million maybe, or maybe $7 million, around $7-8 million to get Rondo on the team. And to be honest, the contract that makes more sense is Lou Williams. Have we got an update on that? I think we just got an update from Shams Karani. I'm just going to refresh the Twitter right quick. Where is it? Well, Legion Hoops said that Lou Williams has been discussing the trade package, which, like I said, will make sense with how the contract has been. Let's have a look. So 25 seconds ago, Shams reports the Hawks are in serious talks of Rajon Rondo to the Clippers for a Lou Williams package, sources tell me, and Sam Amnick. Williams could land in Atlanta or a third team. So, like I mentioned, Lou Williams' contract made the most sense to trade for the Clippers if they're going to get Rondo, because obviously the Clippers are hard caps, so they would need to match the salaries that Rondo has. And the only player that matches the salaries is Lou Williams. And the interesting thing here is he could land in Atlanta or he could land in a third team. So this could be a potential 3-team deal between the Clippers, Hawks, and another team. And Lou Williams did say if he was traded from the Clippers, he would retire. So he's either going to go home to Atlanta or he's going to go to a third team. But it sounds like if Lou Williams would get traded, he's going to retire anyway. So it's a bit of a shame because I did like Lou Williams on the Clippers a few years ago. He was probably our best player, our best scorer without a doubt. But last season, he let the team down in the playoffs, broke the rules of the bubble, ended up having like 10 days quarantine, and it just kind of messed up the whole chemistry of the team. He didn't perform in the playoffs at all. He was getting torched on the defensive side of the ball, so he was struggling a lot. As you can see, they're locked on Clippers. It's just put East Landing into retirement. Yeah, I agree. I think if Rondo does end up getting traded, sorry, not Rondo. If Lou Williams does end up getting traded, he's probably going to retire by the looks of it. We're just getting in a lot more news here. Half an hour to go. Refresh the Twitter again, see if anything else is going to come up. Phone is just exploding right now, by the way, with all these trade deals. And wow, there it is. The Hawks are trading Rajon Rondo to the Clippers for Lou Williams. Sources tell ESPN. Yeah. That deal is now official. Rajon Rondo is going to the Clippers. Lou Williams is going to the Hawks, but he could possibly retire. Clippers fans put here, Lou Williams, even at his age, is significantly better than Rondo. Factoring Lou's leadership, locker room presence, and adoration amongst the team, training for Rondo was absolutely terrible. So there's a few Clippers fans here that are not happy. And as you can see here, Lou Williams did say this last month. You're about to get, someone commented on his post, you're about to get traded. And Lou Will said, this is my last stop, champ. If I get traded, it's going to be Lou Willville. Lol. So basically what he's saying there is if he gets traded, he's going to retire. And he has been traded now. So will Lou Williams retire? Or will he play out the season with Atlanta Hawks, who I believe, are they fighting for something? Yeah, they are. They are currently in the playing position. So maybe Lou Williams could be like a pretty decent piece for the Atlanta Hawks. If they're gonna make noise in the playoffs. But yeah, the trade is done. The Clippers are finalising a deal to acquire Rajon Rondo from Atlanta for Lou Williams, 2 second-round picks and cash. So the Clippers, I think they had something like 8 second-round picks for that they could trade. So they trade Lou Williams, 2 second-round picks and cash that they probably got from the Fiondu Kabengele trade for Rajon Rondo. So the Clippers get their point guard. And Lou Williams' era with the Clippers is officially over, which is a shame because I'm a big Lou Williams. Well, I was a big Lou Williams fan up to last season before I let the team down. But it's big news. It's definitely big news because Lou Williams said he would retire. So I'm interested to see now: will Lou Williams retire? Will he stay with the Hawks the rest of the season? But the Clippers get their point guard, and it's a point guard that they wanted in the offseason, but the Hawks snatched him off him. And as you can see, they've got Bobby Marks. It's put here. Rondo has $7.5 million. 7.5 million and 7.5 million in his contract. Williams goes home and he's on an expiring $8 million contract. So yeah, Rondo's on a 2-year deal where he's going to get paid 7.5 million in both years. And Williams was obviously he's going to be free agent this summer anyway, but he now goes home to Atlanta on his expiring $8 million deal. Which if the Clippers were going to trade for Rajon Rondo, they had to match salaries because they were hard capped. So they couldn't send a young player and picks. They had to match the salaries no matter what. And that's why I said the only player that makes sense to match salaries is Lou Williams if you're going to trade for Rajon Rondo. So the full trade details are here. The Clippers acquire their point guard in Rajon Rondo, which, to be honest, I'm happy about getting Rondo because he's the point guard we need to facilitate. His playoff experience is a good defender. And there are rumours that we could have signed him in the offseason anyway. So I'm happy Rondo's on the team now because he's proven. He's a proven leader, proven what he can do. And the Hawks, they got Lou Williams, 2 future second-round picks and cash. So Rondo and Lou Williams, they're both players that are on the, coming towards the end of their careers, both pretty old. But, Lou Williams, I'm sad to see him leave, but at the end of the day, the Clippers needed a point guard. Rondo's a much better player, a much better defender than Lou Williams. You can't really say he's a better player because I think both players at this point in their careers are both good at what they do. But Rondo's definitely a better defender than Lou Williams. And a facilitator was needed for the Clippers. Shams has put no third team. Lou Williams will play for Atlanta Hawks in his return home. So yeah, apparently Lou Williams won't retire. From what Shams is saying, apparently he will return home and play for Atlanta, which is it's not a bad place in his career. It's where it's his home state of Georgia, and he's going to be playing with Trae Young. John Collins. They've got a pretty decent young core in Atlanta. So hopefully Lou Williams can be, a bit of veteran presence. Bobby Marks has put here as well. He said that one of the results that LSC had going into deadline was 10 second round picks available to use. That's what I said. I think they had like 8, 10 second round picks. They've used 2 of them to get Rondo, so it made sense. But from what I'm reading on Twitter, Clippers fans are not happy. Lou Williams got his 15,000 point yesterday, and now he's been traded to the Hawks. So there's Clippers fans that are fuming. But I think once the dust settles and people realise that the Clippers needed a point guard, and Lou Williams, although he's a good scorer, he's a liability on the defensive end, and he's not as good as a playmaker and defender as Rondo is. But as you can see there, someone's put our tribute there for Lou Will. Let's see if I can find it. Where's it gone? I can't find it. I think it's gone. There it is. Julian, who is a Clippers fan, he's put, at a time when the franchise was supposed to be falling apart, you put the Clippers on your back and carry them to relevancy every night. Lou Williams is one of the most important Clippers ever. Thank you, Lou Williams. I am heartbroken. Well, Lou Williams, it's fair to say, one of the best Clippers of all time. Won a couple of six-man awards there. Like you said, single-handedly put us into the playoffs with Montrezl Harrell and co. And took 2 games off the Warriors. A phenomenal, player in person, Lou Williams, on and off the court. He's a big personality in the NBA as well. One of the better Clippers players, and his era with the Clippers is finally over. It's sad to see, but it's one of those things that just happens. The NBA, there's no loyalty in the NBA at all. It's a business. It's a business at the end of the day, and I think trades happen. And hopefully Lou Williams can go do well, and hopefully he can take his Atlanta Hawks into the playoffs. But they currently sit 7th in the East, so they're definitely not just a dead team. Lou Will can still go play there and do some things for the Hawks. But the Miami Heat, apparently, according to Greg Sylvander, says the Miami Heat are working on getting more than just Kyle Lowry. So the Heat are looking to get Kyle Lowry and maybe somebody else from the Raptors. And if that was to happen, it would be an absolutely massive trade for the Miami Heat indeed. Shane Young's put Rondo's not beneficial for the Clippers, so to me clueless on the reason they trade him. Doesn't help them or fill a need really well. I think he fills a need because the Clippers, they don't have a point guard that can run an offense. Patrick Beverley's not a facilitating point guard. He's a good defender, but he's not a facilitating point guard. Rondo brings something into the Clippers that they don't already have. We don't have a playmaking point guard that can. Rondo is going to come into this team and he's going to look. He's a pass first point guard. When you've got players like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard and Luke Kennard and all these scorers around him, you need people that are willing to pass the ball. And with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George being the facilitators, it just wasn't working for the Clippers. So the fact they've got a real facilitator in Rajon Rondo and he's on a 2-year deal, I don't think it's too bad of a deal for the Clippers. They needed to get somebody in. They needed to get a point guard in because I guarantee if the Clippers didn't trade for anybody, there would have been uproar as well on Twitter. Farbod's put Lou Williams did a lot for the Clippers. He hit so many game winners, carried them in Game 5 against the Warriors, played out his mind for the team. Took a lesser contract so he could stay in LA. Would have been loved to see him ride out. Yeah, me too. But he has had a good career with the Clippers. It's always things like this have always got to come to an end now and again. And it's not like he's been traded to somewhere like Detroit where he's not going to contend for anything. He's going to the Hawks who are still in contention in the Eastern Conference. So I think Lou will can make a big impact, and I think that's where he'll end his career with his contract run out this season. Obviously, this was the report from Greg Sylvander. Miami Heat are working on more than just the Kyle Lowry trade. So, with 20 minutes to go to the deadline, the Heat are looking to get Kyle Lowry and more from the Raptors. Could possibly be maybe Siakam. Who knows? Pascal Siakam's had that big contract, max contract last off season or a couple off seasons ago. I don't really know who else they'd want to get from the Raptors, but if you can get Kyle Lowry and Pascal Siakam, I think you definitely see Tyler Herro end up leaving the Heat there. I'm just going to keep refreshing the Twitter, see if there's any more moves coming in. But yeah, apart from that big Lou Williams, Rajon Rondo trade that just happened, 20 minutes to go to the deadline. Lonzo Ball's name still in limbo. We've still got Kyle Lowry's name still in limbo. Victor Oladipo, I think, is going to be staying put now. Apparently, he's playing tonight for the Rockets, or he's training tonight. He was at practice for the Rockets today, so I can't see him getting traded. However, someone like Lonzo Ball or Kyle Lowry, there's still time for them to get traded, and it's still very much possible. we shall wait and see if anything else can happen. As of right now, though, there's some NFL news, by the way. The Arizona Cardinals trading offensive line Mason Cole to the Vikings in exchange for a 6th rounder. So, Kieran, obviously the Vikings fan, you've got a new offensive lineman from the Arizona Cardinals, Mason Cole for a 6th rounder. Nothing too crazy, but it'll have more depth definitely to your offensive line. But yeah, the Clippers. I thought they were going to make a trade. I did not see Rondo being the point guard they went after, but they wanted to sign him in the offseason last year. They finally got him, and he is now probably the starting point guard for this Clippers team. But with it being Lou Williams being traded, you know, it was always going. It was either going to be Lou Williams or nothing, because the way Bobby Marks said it, if the Clippers were going to trade for Rondo, they had to match his salary, and you know, Lou Williams was the only player that could match his salary. There's no one else on the team that can match it, like literally nobody else. So, yeah, Lou Will goes to the Atlanta Hawks. But I think the writing was on the wall maybe for Lou Williams. He kind of said it the other day when he got his 15,000 point. Probably knew he was going to get traded anyway. But we've got another update here. This is from Massey Evan. The Heat and Rockets are discussing a Victor Oladipo trade. So, with them stalling on the Kyle Lowry trade, maybe the Heat can possibly bring in Victor Oladipo, maybe Duncan Robinson. So I literally just said Victor Oladipo was going nowhere, and now apparently he's in discussions with the Heat and Rockets. I said the exact same thing about Aaron Gordon. I said Aaron Gordon's not going to get traded. 5 minutes later, he gets traded to the Denver Nuggets. And Hoops Central have put this: the Heat are not interested in including Tyler Herro in a Kyle Lowry trade package. Well, we already knew that anyway, quite a while back. The reason the deal was stalling was because, you know, the Heat did not want to trade away Tyler Herro. It's pretty simple. So I think with that deal falling apart, with the Heat refusing to get rid of Tyler Herro, it looks like they've pivoted to Victor Oladipo. So if they can get Victor Oladipo and pair him with Jimmy Butler, again, it could still be a pretty good trade for the Miami Heat. We're looking to get, you know, more star power on their roster. I think you know, when you look at a player like Kyle Lowry, he's a proven veteran that, like I said, he won a championship with the Raptors. Can be a proven leader. With Oladipo have his injury concerns, and with the Heat, with the Rockets being so desperate to get rid of him, maybe you could see the Heat get Victor Oladipo for Duncan Robinson and extra picks. He's now trending Oladipo, by the way, so it looks like talks are heating up. Yeah, Massey Evan put that obviously about them discussing a trade. Farbod put, really thought the Clippers were going to trade for Lou Williams. It was going for George Hill, Lonzo Ball trade, not Rajon Rondo. Yeah, I didn't see Rajon Rondo getting traded to the Clippers. I thought George Hill was the most realistic target, and Lonzo Ball was the most, like, you know, a target that, you know, bit ambitious. You know, I didn't think the Clippers had the assets to get him, and they obviously didn't, because they threw an offer to the Pelicans earlier on, but it obviously wasn't accepted. So instead they pivoted and got Rajon Rondo. But Rondo's a proven veteran. I'm sure he's going to come in and he'll know the role straight away. Again, it hurts losing Lou Williams without a doubt, because he's a Clippers legend. But you're getting a point guard that you need a pass first point guard going into the playoffs. We saw Rondo last season in the playoffs with the Lakers; he was phenomenal. Hopefully, he can do the same thing for the Clippers this season. But I don't mind the trade. I think it's a good trade for the Clippers. You know, with Lou Williams now being traded, you'll probably see Terrence Mann get much more minutes in the rotation. I think you'll see Luke Kennard get many more minutes. Yeah, you know, Lou Williams. Some nights Lou Will could go for 30 points, but then some nights he could go for 5 points. It was getting a bit inconsistent towards the end of his career, but it definitely is the end of an era for the Los Angeles Clippers, getting rid of Lou Williams. But I'm waiting to see what happens with Victor Oladipo now. It's looking like he's the name that could be most likely traded. Again, only 17 minutes to go until the deadline. Marcus Morris put, appreciate our presence, bro. At Team Lou Will, that won't hurt. Pretty similar to, like, you know, the Nuggets as well. I know there were Jamal Murray and Monte Morris were looking pretty sad after the Nuggets traded away the shooting guard Elijah Hampton to the Magic. But yeah, Farber just put, new Clippers fans that came after Kawhi was acquired really didn't appreciate Lou Williams enough. I agree with that. Lou Will, when it looked like the Clippers were going to rebuild when they traded Blake Griffin, Clippers fans are like, well, what's the plan now? What do we do? Do we tank? Do we go for the playoffs? And Lou Williams, he turned into an all-star. He was phenomenal. He turned into an all-star. 22 points, 5 assists, I think he got for the Clippers. He was very, very good for us. And it just kind of felt like, a savior. He was the Clippers' savior, because when the Clippers were going to be terrible for a few years, Lou Williams was phenomenal for us. Montrezl Harrell broke onto the scene, and the season we made the playoffs, and then that obviously attracted Kawhi Leonard to sign with us. So Lou Williams, yeah, great run with the Clippers, but I'm not against the trade. I've got to be honest, I'm not against the trade for getting Rajon Rondo. I don't mind the trade at all, because he's a point guard that we needed, and I'm happy we've got him. Kyle Lowry update again. The Miami Heat are still not offering Tyler Hero. The Raptors are comfortable with keeping Kyle Lowry past deadline. So it looks like now, with the Heat refusing to offer Tyler Hero in the trade, it's looking like Kyle Lowry is going to be staying with the Raptors until the end of the season. He will become a free agent, and then we'll have to wait and see what happens with him then. But it looks like Kyle Lowry is going to be staying put. He's not going to get traded, because the Heat are not willing to give up Tyler Hero. And to be honest, if you're looking from a win now perspective, Kyle Lowry is definitely going to come in and automatically have that veteran leadership and be that point guard for you. But with Tyler Hero being so good in his rookie year, he's only going to get better and better, and the Heat probably were reluctant to give that up. But if they can get Oladipo, if they can bring in Oladipo for maybe just like Duncan Robinson and a few picks, could be probably a better option in the long run. But yeah, any more trades coming through? It looks like it's going to be quiet, unfortunately. But if any trades are going to happen, they're going to happen in the next 16 minutes. This was reported by JLou 1050. He said that the trade offers for Kyle Lowry have been underwhelming, and the Raptors are comfortable keeping Lowry. Like I said previously, about 2 minutes ago, the Raptors, if they want to keep Kyle Lowry, they're going to keep him. And apparently, the trade offers for him have been underwhelming. So, looking more likely, Kyle Lowry is going to be staying with the Toronto Raptors. Which I wonder how Raptors fans feel about that. If there are any Raptors fans in the comments, let me know how you feel about that. I'll also update the banner here right quick. Update the Twitter once more. According to Windows, Sixers are reportedly still in Kyle Lowry's sweepstakes, but their current offer is their final offer. So it got reported earlier that with the Sixers getting George Hill, they were now out on the Kyle Lowry sweepstakes. According to Windhorse, they are still in on the Kyle Lowry sweepstakes, but their current offer is final. So with the Raptors saying that the deals have been underwhelming, and it doesn't look like the Sixers are going to up their offer at all. It's looking like that's the final offer, and I can't see Kyle Lowry getting traded now after reading what I've read. Bobby Marks has put, here's a look at how Miami can make the money to work for Kyle Lowry. It's all about stacking contracts to get $24 million, deciding what young players the Heat want to give up. So, yeah, if the Heat wanted to get him, like I said, they would have to match his salary, which is a lot of money. I think they've probably got the rotation players to give up to match the salaries, but then they would also have to give up the rotation players and Tyler Hero. And I just don't think the Heat want to do that. With Lowry being a free agent, he could possibly leave this summer, and they'll only have one shot at going for a championship. But Tyler Herro's going to be there, possibly, hopefully, all his career for all Heat fans. But if all Heat fans are like, Heat fans were wanting were wanting Tyler Herro to stay on the team for the rest of his career. And if you trade him on his rookie contracts, you miss out on a very cheap deal. But if you get Kyle Lowry on a 1-year deal, it doesn't work out and he leaves after 1 year. You basically lost Tyler Herro for for your one shot at a championship with Kyle Lowry, if that makes sense. So is it really worth it giving a player with Herro's ability to have one shot at a championship with Kyle Lowry when you probably could get the same production maybe from Lowry as the same you get with Herro? Clippers need to put Rajon Rondo his back. We'll get to see playoff Rondo suit for the Clippers who are in search of their first NBA title. Any more news? 10 minutes to go until the deadline. Is anything else going to happen? I'm also waiting for players to get released because I mentioned the buyout market is going to be ripe with players. I think you might see Hassan Whiteside, you might see Andre Drummond. I don't think Kyle Lowry would get put into the buyout market at all. But I think that the Lakers are a team to watch. The Knicks are a team to watch in the buyout market. They both have a roster spot clear, I think. So it's definitely possible you see those two, be active in the buyout market. What time are you going to, Will? I'm going for another 5-10 minutes because the deadline closes at 7. Well, the deadline shuts at 7 p.m. tonight, so that's in like 10 minutes time. So I'll probably wrap it up just a couple of minutes before 7 o'clock, so Josh can jump on air because obviously the UCL sim draw is at 7 p.m. So I don't want to interfere with that. I don't want two streams going at once. So I think I'll probably end it just before the just before we get that sim underway. So maybe about another 5 minutes or so, because it doesn't look like there's going to be any more deals coming in. I think that's it now for the deals that have happened, unless I see a last minute, incredible trade. But personally, I can't see it. I think all the deals that have happened, that were going to happen, have already happened now. NBA Central put a picture of Masai Ujiri with 10 minutes left. Obviously, he's the Toronto Raptors GM. So the Raptors are a team that are definitely one of the teams that could definitely trade away one of their players, more likely. But I thought we would have had more activity down the stretch. I thought Kyle Lowry would have got traded, but it looks like that due to Heat not wanting to get rid of Tyler Herro, it's almost like they're gonna give up on Kyle Lowry. The Sixers are still in the sweepstakes, but I can't see that happening now. They've got George Hill, and the Lakers were in the sweepstakes earlier on, but again, the Lakers do not have the assets to get Kyle Lowry. But maybe in the buyout market they get someone like Andre Drummond. But I'll just have a quick last dip through all the deals that have happened today. I'll quickly go through all of them. So Delon Wright got traded to the Kings for 2 second-round picks, and Corey Joseph, who then went to the Pistons. My computer just froze. There we go. Computer just froze for a bit there. The Nuggets acquired JaVale McGee earlier on in the day for 2 second-round picks and Isaiah Hartenstein. So again, they had another big man on the inside to pair with Nikola Jokic, becoming one of the most feared teams. In the paint. There's not many teams now that can block JaVale McGee and Nikola Jokic. They've got some serious talent inside now. The Denver Nuggets. The biggest deal of the day in terms of player movement and picks was the Orlando Magic. They traded away Nicola Goosevich and Alfred Camino to the Chicago Bulls, Otto Porter Jr., Wendell Carter Jr., and 2 first-round picks. So the Bulls, they came into the day wanting to get a star player, wanted to get an all-star caliber player to pair with Zach LaVine. They got just that in Nicola Vucevic, and they also got Alfred Camino, probably part of as a salary dump. Otto Porter Jr. is a pretty good rotation player that they're losing, and they're also losing a good young player in Wendell Carter Jr. And the 2 first-round picks surrendered were in 2021 and 2023, so quite a big hole there from the Bulls to give up for Vucevic, but they get the all-star talent in the building, and the Magic can start a rebuild with the picks they've got on the young players. And also, the Bulls were interested in Lonzo Ball, but I think if that was going to happen, it would have already happened by now. I think it's too late in the deadline for anything like that to happen. The Celtics also got a Magic player. They got Evan Fournier for 2 second-round picks. Fournier, who's in the final year of his massive 5-year contract. The Celtics acquired him for 2 second-round picks, so basically nothing. And the Celtics who had Gordon, who have Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, they're 2 very good young players, but they needed more support. So getting a player like Evan Fournier to come off the bench Very, very good addition for the Boston Celtics. Only 2 second-round picks as well, so an absolute steal for them. But again, it's more picks for the rebuilding Orlando Magic. Brian Windhorst reported the Clippers had talks with Rondo, and as I mentioned, that trade has just gone through. The Clippers have just acquired him for Lou Williams. So Lou Williams goes to Atlanta Hawks. He's got 1 year left on his contract, and Rondo, who's got 2 years left on his contract with the Clippers, he joins the Clippers. So just a swap of Lou Williams and Rondo. Clippers get the point guard that they wanted, and Lou Williams can end his career in his hometown state of Atlanta. The Magic traded away Aaron Gordon, so they traded away Fournier, Gordon, and Vucevic. This time, Gordon went to the Denver Nuggets in exchange for Gary Harris, RJ Hampton, a first-round pick from this season, the point guard, and a protected 2025 first-round pick. So the Magic got about 3 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and a lot of young players in the deals in the trades for them today. So they've got a brand new, pretty much a brand new team of youth players and picks, which makes sense because the second bottom in the East, and they need as many rebuilding tools as they can get, really. Daniel Gafford and Chandler Hutchinson got traded to the Washington Wizards in exchange for Troy Brown Jr. and Moritz Wagner, all former first-round picks, just swapping teams, basically. The Kings sent Nemanja Bjelica to the Miami Heat, a center that can space the floor. He's played a career low of 16.9 minutes per season for the Kings this season, so he was going to get traded anyway. And the Heat had him, they lost Myers Leonard, but they get the 3-point shooting back with Bjelica. And in return, Miami sent Maurice Harkless, the 3-and-D player, and the young power forward Chris Silver to Sacramento. It was also a 3-team trade. The Philadelphia 76ers acquired George Hill from the Oklahoma City Thunder and New York Knicks forward Ignaz Bradnexis. And obviously, the Thunder were involved in that deal along with the Knicks. The Thunder got Austin Rivers in the deal along with Tony Bradley and 2 second-round picks. And the Knicks got Terrence Ferguson in an open roster spot. So maybe they can add someone in the buyout market. But that open roster spot is big for the Knicks if they want to get someone like Drummond or Whiteside. They don't have to release anybody because they've got an open roster spot ready to sign a free agent. And the final confirmed deal was Norman Powell to the Portland Trailblazers in exchange for Gary Trent Jr. of Rodney Hood. So Norman Powell was a player that had been in the trade rumors for the past week or so. He eventually finds a new home with Damian Lillard and the Portland Trailblazers, and they look to push on in the playoffs. I'll have one last refresh. Twitter. We've got about 4 minutes to go until the deadline. I think we might have one more deal, maybe. That's where it decides to refresh. It's taking its time. 5 minutes to go. Draymond Green's put Rondo to the Clippers best trade today. So Draymond Green's obviously a big fan of Rondo going to the Clippers, that point guard that they needed. I thought there was one more trade that happened here. Oh, there it is. Toronto trade guard Terrence Davis to Sacramento Kings for a future second-round pick. So again, not a massive trade. And Terrence Davis I think he's still a pretty young shooting guard, and he's gone to the Kings for just pretty much a late second-round pick, pretty much nothing. But again, a smaller trade there, just kind of reinforcing the roster. It opens a roster spot for Toronto as well, so maybe that means the trade is in the pipeline. Adrian Wojnarowski reported no Lonzo Ball trade. It's also telling he's staying in New Orleans. So Lonzo Ball, we thought he could have got traded. He's officially staying in New Orleans. He's not been traded, and he stays with Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram. Good for New Orleans because I thought the best option was for them to keep him. If they got rid of Lonzo Ball, it would have been a bad trade in my opinion. So they keep Lonzo Ball on. I think he's still got potential. He's having his best season of his career. Well done to New Orleans for holding on to him. It's the right decision in my opinion. And then we've got one more trade reported by Shams. The New Orleans Pelicans are close on a deal to send JJ Redick to the Dallas Mavericks. So the Mavericks have had a terrible start to the season with COVID issues and whatnot. They are going to acquire, by the looks of it, a veteran shooting guard, JJ Redick, 3-point sniper from the New Orleans Pelicans. So it had more, he's not a great defender, JJ Redick, but it adds more shooting into that backcourt, to help out Luka Doncic. And I think it's a pretty good trade. I'm not too sure what the compensation is, but it's looking like JJ Redick will be a Dallas Maverick before the deadline. But that's come out of nowhere because I did not see JJ Redick getting traded, and it's only 2 minutes before the deadline as well. So the Mavs leave it late, but it looks like they're going to bring in JJ Redick. John Collins will officially remain a Hawk. Obviously, the Hawks got rid of Rondo, and they brought in Lou Williams, but that was the only trade deadline move for Atlanta and the Clippers themselves. So John Collins is going to stay in Atlanta, and I think that's about it now. Yeah, it's 1 minute to 7. And Chris Hayes just reports the Cleveland Cavaliers Andrew Drummond will work out a buyout league, tell Yahoo Sports. So Andrew Drummond will become a free agent after the deadline's closed. I think he'll sign with the Lakers or the Knicks, one of those two teams. But I expect Andrew Drummond to be released anyway, so he's working on a buyout with the Cavs. He'll become a free agent, and someone can add a big time center to their roster. But that's the final news of the day. I'm gonna end it there because it's 7:00 now. We've got the UCL sim draw coming up. Well, coming up in like 2 minutes time, so make sure you stay on for that. I'm just going to close down the tabs because I think that's it now for the trade. Nothing else really to report on. Well, yeah, thanks for joining everyone that joined. That is the NBA trade deadline officially slammed shut. We had a lot of deals go through. Now we've got the UCL draw for the sim coming up next, so make sure you stay on and watch that. Other than that, I'm going to end it now before I say too much because there's nothing else much to say. Thanks for joining. I'll see you guys later. And make sure you come and join us in the UCL sim draw.